welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. This is Jason Bland, your host. Tonight's guest is returning. 2 years ago, he was on this show as Keith Linder. You might remember him of the Demon in Seattle house on Ghost Adventurers. We talked about that. We had Chris Fleck and Nikki Novell on. They had investigated his house. I remember Chris had spent like 3 weeks there, and Nikki had spent a lot of time behind a camera watching through his security system, and they got a lot of great evidence. But Keith has been living with this for a number of years now, with something. I don't know if it's a demon or not, but something in his home that he is living with that has been tormenting him. And he's got a new book, Brothel Hell House. We're going to talk about that tonight, and the ongoing paranormal activity that he had to deal with over the last few years. It's an incredible story. So I hope you guys tune in tonight, and we will take phone calls later in the show. Might be a little bit later because tonight is a 3-hour Paranormal Soup show. We've been doing more of them. We're probably going to start heading more into November. We'll probably start doing more 3-hour shows. And then, like I said, what we do every Sunday night is the World Wide Web of Weird, so we should get rolling in the show. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup. Man, I had a frog in my throat at the beginning. Been drinking tea and coffee and trying to get my vocal cords warmed up, and it hit me the moment I start the show. It's just the way it's going to go tonight, I guess. All right, well, we got my lovely co-host should be here with us as well. Let me get the share screen up. Actually, I think we got our guest is right here with us. Let's start with him. How you doing tonight, Keith?
Hey, Jason, how's it going? Pretty good.
Glad to have you back on. Thank you so much for coming back on the show. I can't wait to delve back into this story because it's an incredible story. All the activity that you've had to deal with and what you've had to live with and experience. I believe in the paranormal. I experienced a lot of weirdness myself, but for somebody to go through what you're going through is not a normal occurrence in the paranormal. It happens to people. I mean, Laura Lee, she's called in the show now, a host on L&M. Her first phone call on the show was your show you were on with us because she was living through something dark just like you, and couldn't get any help. So, I'm very proud of that.
Wow.
You were part of that show. It affected her life. So, now she's a host of a radio show. It's awesome. And joining us every Sunday night, as always, is my lovely co-host, Jamie D. How you doing tonight, Jamie?
Doing good, and really excited to have Keith back tonight and hear what's been going on since the last time.
Oh, yeah. And Keith, like I said, man, if you want to jump in at any time during the World Wide Web of Weird, I always love, my guests' 2 cents on some of these stories that we read. But go ahead and jump in. Interrupt me. I don't care. I love getting other people's perspective. So since we're talking about that, let's go ahead and roll into the World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight on the World Wide Web of Weird, we're going to cover a few things. It's a little shorter World Wide Web of Weird because I have a story at the end that, yes, I'm going to get on my soapbox. It's not even a paranormal story, but it's something I'm very passionate about, and I'll get to that at the end of the World Wide Web of Weird. But we're going to start off with some weirdness. This is from Unexplained Mysteries. NASA astronauts saw alien in space shuttle. For people listening on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network, we are a webcast as well that you can watch at Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup Facebook page, and you can watch the show. We do post it later on our YouTube channel, Paranormal Soup, or type in my name, Jason Bland, and you'll find it. That one doesn't have the commercials in it, but you always can find it at Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup if you want to see any of the pictures or photos that we show. And people watching on Facebook, we are a radio show on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. I urge you to go to the website. It's all brand new, spanking new. They got a lot of cool stuff on there, and it's still getting better. Go check out Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Go donate, subscribe, do what you can to help keep this network going. All right, so we got Jeffrey Chan, my video engineer, on the video part of the show here, doing the share screen. No really videos tonight. We will have a video later, or some stuff from Keith Linder's home there. But tonight's a lot more about the articles. NASA astronauts saw alien space shuttle. I wish there was a video of this. I'm sure there is, classified. The retired astronaut's recollection of the incident was posted on social media earlier this month after he was asked about his thoughts on the existence of alien life and whether he had ever seen a UFO. I love that question to every single astronaut. People keep asking it. I have not seen one in space or on all the ground, he said, but thought I saw something organic alien-like floating out of the payload bay. He replied, I called the ground to ask what it could be, and it was the ice that had broken off of the Freon hose, translucent, curved, and organic looking. Although it certainly makes sense what he saw was simply a piece of ice, the fact that he even considered the possibility that it might be an extraterrestrial in nature is certainly intriguing. Some conspiracy theorists have already jumped on his comments as evidence of NASA's cover-up, of course. When asked if it was possible that the ground control was lying to him, Melvin replied, I don't think so, but you never know. I was about to say, Houston, we have a problem, but I know everyone spins up when those words are uttered from a space vehicle. Yeah, I'm sure. I've always wondered, some of the evidence that's come out for the stuff in the upper atmosphere, if there could be organic life. And I've heard some people in shows, I think I've had somebody on a show theorize that there could be alien life up in the upper atmosphere, or organic life of something that's surviving up there. And maybe that's, when they talk about them being in space, they're really still in our very outer upper atmosphere with that shuttle. And who knows what could be up there? I don't know. Or it was just a piece of ice, as that NASA always says. All right, you know how I love the creepy clown stories? No. KOB.com, we got one. Creepy clown arrested outside of Albuquerque Whataburger. I only got a picture of the Whataburger up, so people on Late Night in the Midlands, you're not missing anything. Oh, they didn't have a picture. I like the mug shot. All right, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Albuquerque police say they arrested a creepy clown that was terrorizing customers at a local Whataburger. We don't have those where I'm at. Late night Monday, police arrested 32-year-old Stephen Ames, who was reported to be wearing a clown mask and waving a machete at customers in the parking lot of Whataburger at the intersection of Carlisle and Claremont. According to the criminal complaint, the manager of Whataburger told Ames to leave after he reportedly spent 20 minutes in the restaurant restroom. And the clown had to take a dump. Once outside, the manager said Ames took out the machete from its sheath and started banging it against his knee. Man, don't scare a constipated clown. Don't make mad, a constipated clown. Man, the guy was trying to take a dump. Leave him alone. Fearing an attack, police say the manager then locked the doors of the restaurant. Police says Ames then approached cars that were stopped at a nearby traffic signal. While wearing the clown mask, police say Ames blew kisses at the passengers, then approached a car to write the words, "kill you," on a window. Before the car could leave, police say Ames shouted, "I will, you know what, you up," at the occupants. When police arrived at the scene, they say they encountered Ames with a clown mask on, thrusting his hips in a sexual manner towards the Whataburger restaurant. Ames was taken into custody without further incident. Police say they found a filled heroin needle. No big surprise. That's probably what he was doing in the bathroom. Don't mess with a clown when he's trying to shoot up in the bathroom. Is your lesson there, manager at Whataburger? Oh, God. God, what is it with the clowns? Seriously, you're lucky. These guys that dress up in clowns and get arrested, they're lucky they don't get shot. They're going to get some cop with a clown phobia. I don't know. Clown lives matter. Okay, let's move on. Now, this story I'm super interested in, and I maybe it's because my 2-year-old and 6-year-old are obsessed with sharks. So I've watched a lot of shark movies in the last few weeks. It's been Shark Week at the Bland household. I'm not kidding. It really has been. They've been obsessed with sharks for some reason. But I saw this article come up, and this theory comes from Stephen King's son, Joe Hill. He came up with this theory. This is from USA Today. Jaws mystery. Did a long unknown Lady of the Dunes, Cape Cod murder victim, appear in movie scene? Mangled body left behind by the monster white shark in Jaws are famous for decades after the monster smash movies landed in 1975. But maybe you haven't heard about the real woman's body left behind on the dunes at Cape Cod. She was murdered by a human, not chomped by a shark. In fact, she's one of the New England's oldest, most famous, and saddest unsolved mysteries. She's the Lady of the Dunes. Nowhere Frozen Cold case is getting new attention because, strangely enough, this unknown woman might have appeared briefly as a face in the crowd in the movie Jaws, which was filmed on Martha's Vineyard off of Cape Cod in the summer of 1974, the same summer she was killed. That is the theory ghostwriter Joe Hill, the son of horror novelist Stephen King, whose pen name is contradiction of his middle name, Hillstrom, has been exploring since 2015. He thinks the spotted lady of the dunes in a split-second crowd scene about 54 minutes in the film, and I know the scene. I could probably go find it. She swims at you out of the crowd. You hardly notice her if you watched it on TV, but it's different if all the actors are 10 feet high. Yeah, on your big screen TV, probably, buddy. You know, your home movie theater for all the money your dad made, right? Hill says in a phone interview with USA Today, I should have put a picture of Hill. He looks like Stephen King. Stephen King cloned himself or something. I mean, man, he looks like his dad. But it's a cool theory. I don't know. I mean, you know, it's hard to say. He might be stretching it, but it was filmed there. You know, can they track down did they? I don't know. Do they keep records of all the people who appeared, in a movie at all? I don't think so. I don't think keep everybody. I mean, I guess they have to get permission from the film. So I guess there would be some kind of record somewhere, and then that a person go missing. That was a stand-in or what do you want to call it? I just forget what you call it. A person, not a major role. She's there for like 2 seconds in the film, not even. That's an interesting story. All right, let's move on to a ghost picture. This is from InsideEdition.com. I'm trying to find out more on this because they have one photo and that's it in the story, but woman captures ghost monk on camera at British landmark. A visit to the Welsh property resulted in the image of a ghostly figure turning up on the woman's camera. Rosie Bolton, 19, said she had seen ghostly orbs before, but nothing like the image she spotted after late night exploring the Tintern Abbey. I'm probably butchering that. Bolton travels to haunted locations to snap photos each week, and this time she may have got what she was looking for. The teen captured what she believes was a ghost of a monk. She spotted it while going through photos after the visit. I was on my own going through the photos and it just freaked me out, Bolton said. I called my friend and told her about it and the photos straight away. In the image, what appears to be a large shadowy figure is seen outside the abbey. Bolton also says she felt an eerie vibe while at the ruins at night. The Black Death of the 1340s claimed lives of many monks, and some claim to have seen their spirits within the halls of the abbey lined up and holding torches. We feel like someone was coming towards us, so we all ran out of there. We were scared, she said. She still plans to visit more ghostly places in the future, despite the frightening experience. The end of the article. I don't know. I mean, it looks like it could be like a monk. You kind of see the hood. I don't know if that would be pareidolia. I would have to know what the picture would be taken again in that same spot, see if something else could be allusion to that. I don't know. You almost do, like the pareidolia part is almost do see a face in the middle of the hood. You really almost do. I don't know. It's interesting. Monk, 1340s and monks are still hanging around. It's kind of sad. All right, let's move on. All right, this one's from dailymail.co.uk, but I saw it posted a lot of places. This article is by Ryan Perry West, Coast Correspondent for dailymail.com. This is a treasure hunter has made an astounding, unexplained discovery deep beneath the Bermuda Triangle that he believes could provide the first evidence of extraterrestrial visit to Earth hundreds of years ago. Explorer Daryl Mikilos has been using secret maps created by his close friends and famed astronaut Gordon Cooper to find shipwrecks in the Caribbean. His amazing discovery has featured over amazing discoveries, have featured over 2 seasons of his hit Discovery Channel docuseries Cooper's Treasures. But in recent months, his team has stumbled upon something that he believes will shock the world. Using maps put together in the 1960s by Cooper to identify more than 100 magnetic anomalies in the Caribbean, Mikilos divided at an undisclosed location near the Bahamas to investigate what he thought could be an ancient shipwreck. Let's see, the article kind of goes down to a lot of pictures. I don't have all the pictures, sorry, there was a lot. But instead, the veteran treasure hunter found a bizarre structure like nothing he'd ever seen. The huge unidentified submerged object has 300-foot-long obtrusions jutting from its side. In an exclusive interview with DailyMail.co, Mikilos 55 described what he found while filming the episode of 7 Cooper's Treasures and tells now he and his team want to bring the alien spaceship to the surface. He recalls, "We're doing a scene where I was sitting in a 2-man submersible. We were out in the Bahamas, and we were on an English shipwreck trail, somehow related to Sir Francis Drake. I was trying to identify the shipwreck material based on one anomaly readings on Gordon's charts when I noticed something that stuck out and shocked me." And there's a lot of these pictures. They show like these things kind of jutting out from this formation. But I don't know, how does he know it's a spaceship? There's more of this article you can read at dailymail.co.uk. It's pretty long. I'm not going to get into all of it. But basically, they believe because of the magnetic anomaly, that's how they found it, that there's something going on there, that this thing is not a part of this Earth. It's not the readings they're getting, whatever. But I always said, there's got to be, if, alien spacecraft crashed in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947, and I've heard other stories of them crashing all over the world. You know how many of them might have just crashed in the ocean, and someday we're going to run across it. The aliens probably wouldn't bother to go get it. It's just sitting down there at the bottom of the ocean. Maybe I've seen too many science fiction movies that related to that, but I really, one of these days we got to run across something like that, I would think, if they're real. All right, one last thing. This is my soapbox kind of thing. This isn't paranormal, and I apologize. But this one I'm really passionate about is CBD oil, people being able to use it for medical treatment. Well, the first marijuana-derived prescription drug has come out, or will be coming out. And this is from the Lincoln Journal-Star. You know what it'll cost a year to buy that? $32,000 for that prescription drug. It's CBD oil, but it's, pharmaceutical derived. So a new marijuana-derived drug to treat rare forms of severe epilepsy in children will cost about $32,500 per patient per year. Epidiolex, I'm probably butchering it, I don't care. The first cannabis pharmaceutical to be approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration contains the active ingredients of cannabinoids, CBD. It does not contain psychoactive molecule THC, which generates a high for which marijuana is best known. And in earnings call Tuesday, GW Pharmaceuticals said that about 1,200 people, primarily patients with Lennox-Gastaut syndrome and Dravet syndrome, I probably butchered those, sorry, who participate in the drug trials currently are receiving Epidiolex. CBD remains a Schedule I drug according to the federal government, which means it has no recognized medical use. Before Epidiolex can be described, the FDA must reschedule CBD. Now, I'm going to cut to the chase on this article because it's long. But they basically are pricing this because they say, well, it compares to the prices of other drugs for epilepsy on the market. So basically, it's not about how much it costs to make, how much of a profit margin is justifiable. It's about, well, it's just as much. We want it to be just as much as the other epilepsy drugs. We don't want to put them out of business now, do we? I mean, we've gotten so ridiculous. Like, I see so much. I try not to get into politics, but we are blaming the wrong people. Like, I saw people, talking about doctors, get paid too much bull. And talking about insurance companies don't give out enough money. All that. We never talk about the medical industry, which raises the prices of everything, by tremendous amounts, just so they can make more of a buck, because people have to have the medicine. Well, the problem is with this CBD, most of the people with these seizure problems are able to take natural CBD oil for a lot less cheaper. So they're going to have a big time. But you know what they're going to try to do? They're going to try to take that away. They're going to put a patent on it. And you can't use CBD oil because it should only come from a pharmaceutical company because we want our money. This is what I'm sick of. It not killing anybody. It's only helping people, and we can't get enough common sense to make this nationwide legal and not let the pharmaceutical companies have anything to do with it because they are a bunch of corrupt you-know-what. And we need to end it. We need to stop. We need to speak up. And, people yell at the anti-vaxxers and all that stuff, like, oh, you're endangering your children. There's reasons, because we shouldn't trust these people. We shouldn't trust these people at all with our lives. All right, that's enough of my paranormal soap. It's not paranormal. This is my soapbox rant, because I really am passionate about this. I mean, I have friends that have, epilepsy. I know people that need this kind of help. And in Indiana, we just got CBD passed. It shouldn't have taken that long. All right. When we come back, we're going to have our guest, Keith Linder. We're going to talk about the brothel Hell House and his experience there over the last few years. And remember, guys, we play music out to Late Night in the Midlands radio networks. You cannot hear on Facebook. So you're going to hear some quiet. Don't freak out. We'll be right back after these commercial breaks. And when we come back, we'll have our guest, Keith Linder. And we'll have you call in the show later on. All right, guys, be back with you in just a few minutes. Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Keith Linder. Remember him from the Demon in Seattle house. Make sure I get this right. The name of the book is Bothell Hell House. I keep saying brothel. Sorry, Bothell Hell House. We're going to talk about his experiences in this house. They're incredible. I mean, objects being moved, stuff written on the walls. I know 2 investigators that spent weeks there. They got tons of evidence, and this guy's lived through it. Now, we will have phone lines later in the show. If you have your own experiences or you have a question about his experience, you can call in, but that'll be later in the show. It is a 3-hour show tonight, but let's get going and get our guest. You still there with us, Keith?
Right here. Can you hear me?
I hear you. So Bothell, not brothel. Bothell. I got to say that right. Am I saying Bothell? Is that it?
Yeah, Bothell, yeah.
I keep wanting to say brothel. Not a brothel. There were no red lights and... But yeah, tonight we want to talk about this. We had you on. Now it's been 2 years since we had you on, so I definitely want to kind of we got more time. I definitely want to get a kind of a recap for the audience of how this started for you, and what's been going on.
Yeah, we can go from the move-in date with me and my girlfriend, and just go from there. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and then this is mainly what your book is out is it covers this whole experience there and what happened to you, right? Everything in the book is going to deal with that.
Yeah, the book actually starts. I start on day 1, May 1st of 2012, and I'm going to carry the reader all the way 4 years, pretty much about till April or May of 2016. Is where the book cuts off at. Right when Carissa, Nikki, and the guys from the UK completed their investigation that sort of, I guess, officialized the house, the case, and brought a lot of substantiation to our claims. So yeah, that's how I closed the book out.
It's an incredible experiences that you've had. I mean, when we had you on the show, we played a lot of the evidence from when Carissa and Nikki were there, and it was incredible. I remember EVPs and stuff like that. But you yourself, you've been documenting this for a long time now. Your security cameras, your own personal footage. You've been documenting it this whole time. What I have to ask, what keeps you doing it? What kept you doing it? Just documenting it. Most people have just gotten out.
Good question. There were several reasons that motivated me to document. Early on, the number one reason was the phenomena that we were witnessing was just too fantastic not to document. I mean, when you see objects levitate, move, I'm not talking about a move from an inch or 2 or a centimeter. I'm talking about moving clear across the room. Objects that would take 2, maybe 3 people to lift and move across the room. Yet these objects are moving relatively easy, quickly, and they're leaving damage to the house we live in. So something told me internally, you need to document time of day, day of the week, weather conditions outside, my mood, Tina's mood, because it just felt important to somebody else. Not to me, I'm not in the paranormal, but if I was to walk into, you walk into your doctor's office and you tell him what ails you, you want to be able to articulate well what ails you so the doctor can be able to analyze what's in fact wrong with you. So when I took this information to paranormal teams, I'm hoping they see it and they're like, aha, yeah, that's poltergeist written all over, or aha, that's residual activity or intelligent haunting, things of that nature. So yeah, that was one of the main reasons for documenting.
You said May 1st that was the first day you moved in 2012. I think the day of the show we did was May 1st, so it was like an anniversary too when we did the show.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, it was a 2-year mark anniversary. I was still in the house.
Yeah. So now you were a renter. So you rent this place. You move in. It was you and I remember your girlfriend. What, Tina? Was that?
Tina,
lived with you. So you guys, you moved in and rent this place. What were the first signs? What was your first clue that something was different?
The kid cough, Jason. When we got the keys to the house, signed the papers, and me and Tina are, sitting in an empty house, and we're talking, me and Tina, and just out of the blue came a kid cough. It was like a kid was in the room with us at the time, but of course, there's no visible kid in the room with us at the time. But we both noticed it and said pretty much at the same time, was that a kid cough? Because it was very loud, very distinct, and it sounded like it came from one of the rooms upstairs. Uh, a few weeks later, upon actually doing the move in, you just started noticing things missing. I mean, my car keys, not the keys I use every day, but the keys that I had as a spare, were now gone. Um, Silverware, we start finding ourselves searching for knives, spoons, and forks. And then Tina started noticing her jewelry. She's asking me, have I seen this? Have I seen that? My answer is no. I'm asking Tina, I thought we had more forks than this. I thought we had more knives. And it was just weird. And we're still not connecting the dots because, we were just
It's
thinking,
missing stuff.
okay, we
things
just
go
recently
missing.
moved in.
Yeah.
Things get relocated, moved, them darn movers, whatever. Okay. Um, then about 2 months in, we're watching TV in our new home, and a plant. It's about a 4 foot tall plant. It's Tina's plant, and it sits right by the TV. So you're looking dead at it if you're watching TV,
Yeah.
and it just rises up in the air, Jason, and does a total spin.
Oh my
This
God.
plant does, and Tina's looking at TV like me, and we both see the plant rise up, and we look at each other, sort of like the kid cough moment of, did that just happen?
Right.
And keep in mind, and it's kind of funny. I even said it in the book of, we thought we were being punked. We thought we were being pranked big time because ghost, demon, poltergeist, whoever was the farthest from our mind. I mean, it was. We were looking. We got up. We didn't run from the plant. We ran toward it, looking for strings, invisible wire,
Well,
remote
if somebody's doing
control
that, you'd be worried about
device,
somebody being in your
and we
house
thought,
too.
yeah, we thought a neighbor, some kids got in, maybe the homeowner's kids, maybe they punk new tenants and the homeowner's not aware of it,
Right.
of his kids doing this. So we were trying to look for anything that would give us the rational idea that this is being, this is a human doing this. But of course, there was not one. I mean, there was no string, no wire. And finally, we realized, we went back in time to when we first got the keys to the house of the kid cough, and we're like, I think we got a ghost here. I think this is all ghost related because it sort of made sense now with the items disappearing. Of course, there were other subtleties in the house, like lights going off and on, or you come back to your bedroom and the lights off, or you could have swore up and down you left it on, or you come back to your bedroom and the TV's off, you could have swore you left it on because you're just coming right back. I mean, you're
Now,
watching TV
you were
and you
watching
come back during a commercial.
one of the questions I asked a client, because I've had some similar situations, is when they were watching TV. What were you watching? Do you remember?
Oh, well, no, for the plant, that was a Netflix movie. I
Netflix
couldn't
and
tell you,
chill
being it was
with ghosts.
6 years ago. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, the reason
but
the reason I ask is I've asked clients. I'll ask them that question when they've had something happen when they say I was watching TV and then this thing happened. I will ask them, were you watching a horror film or something that would get your fear up? Because can be a clue to an entity that needs that kind of energy to manifest.
yeah. I mean, I know it wasn't a horror movie. I think we were probably watching a comedy or a chick flick or something. But it was
Maybe
definitely
didn't like the
lighthearted.
movie. Maybe didn't
And
like the
at that
movie. It was a chick
time,
flick.
we were just shrugging everything off. I really think the spirits, for lack of a better word, just got bored with us ruling everything out. They're like, these guys are never going to get it. This house is haunted. We're here. Okay, let's just do something they can't rule out anymore. Let's just lift the plan up. And because keep in mind, once that happened, then the loud bangs came. Then the door slamming while we're trying to sleep. Chairs and bar stools start sliding across the floor. So it seemed once we made that acknowledgement, once they got everybody's attention, they were like, okay, now we can do what we really want to do, and that's when it will start getting gray. Yeah.
Well, that's what it makes me wonder when those kind of incidents happen. It's like, do they need your perception? They got to they get enough energy just to move that plant, but the moment you recognize it's like a quantum effect, now you know, and your knowing perception gives them some more power to do more. And that's also why I
Yeah.
wonder about those kind of situations. Before any of this, before you guys lived there, I mean, did either one of you ever experience any kind of paranormal activity like this at all? I hate saying activity because of the movies, but any paranormal activity at all like this before?
No, and we were asked, by several teams and researchers, because they're trying to discern, number one, did we bring it in with us?
Right.
And no, we never had any sort of activity. Me growing up, Tina never had any sort of activity. We both lived. I had an apartment. She had an apartment. We were not living together until we moved into the Bothell home. But we'd already been together 2 years prior, and nothing stood out of the unusual in either one of our homes. And it was just weird. It was just, you walk into a house that was virtually still brand new when we moved in. The house was built in 2005. We moved in 2012. But I always tell people, yeah, I knew of a Ouija board, but I never played with one. I've never been in a room with the Ouija board. And I've never done those, Bloody Mary songs in front of a mirror. It was just,
Or
I
Candyman.
never done, or Candyman, or, I mean, around Halloween, I would watch the classic John Carpenter stuff, but that's as far as my
They
scary
Live.
would go of a Hollywood movie. Oh, I love They Live, Roddy Piper, yeah,
Oh
classic.
yeah. Oh, classics. One of my favorite movies. I can't. I used to play the little clip of that, but I'm afraid to do that because he says somewhat naughty word in my favorite line of that movie. You probably know which movie it is. I came here to chew bubblegum, and then
Oh,
yeah, don't say
oh,
the.
that's my quote. That's one of my
That's
favorite quotes of all time.
my favorite. Great movie. So you're living in this house. That night when you guys had that happen. I mean, what was it like trying to go to bed that night when you finally accepted our house is haunted? Now let's go to bed.
Well, now we got the cool factor because we think it's a kid ghost. We're like,
Because of the
oh, that's
cough, yeah.
interesting. The cough. At that time, kid toys were popping up everywhere. You would come down in the morning and find kid toys on the staircase, kitchen table. So we thought, okay, there's a kid ghost
And practical
that's
jokes too.
lost.
It
Yeah,
seems like it
pranks
likes
to
to
ghosts.
steal your keys or do stuff to like kid stuff.
Yeah, kid stuff. And the internet was reinforcing that idea because we went to the internet to look it up.
So
Hey,
everybody
what does all
goes.
this mean? And it was like kid ghost.
Hmm.
So we went to bed. We weren't scared. We were just like, okay, let's talk to it, figure out what it wants, try to guide it into some sort of light, let it know our intentions are not hostile, and try to get it to tell us what it wants. I mean, has to move on per se. Um, and no, it wasn't having none of that. The more we tried to communicate, the bigger the objects that flew got. So
But that's what I wonder. I think your case is very interesting. The fact is, like, because you started out with a little bit of activity. The moment you gave it attention, and I remember this from the last time you were on the show, we talked about this. The moment you gave it attention, is it's like you juiced it. You gave it some
yeah,
kind of power.
yeah. There's something in the I guess the word of acknowledgement that gives spirits the right to do what they do. Because long as we were just disavowing, sort of ignoring, things were very minuscule. But once we started Google searching, um, shining flashlights in dark lit hallways, and things of that nature, then as you start seeing the activity ratchet up a little bit. The loud bangs were very discerning because they're very loud, and door slams. When a door slams in the middle of the night when you're sleeping, it's hard to go back to sleep.
Yeah.
and
Because
sometimes
you got to
objects would
get up
get
and look and see if
thrown.
somebody's in your house, don't you? I mean, you would get up and look and see if somebody's
Yeah,
in your house.
we're looking for. I mean, we comb the house, and then you're sort of uneasy. Is the door going to slam again? And of course, you got to be up the next morning to go to work, so you're a little bit tired from that. But yeah, there's definitely something to the effect of let's get these guys' attention, and the more we give uh, them attention, the more power we can get, and vice versa. Because I can tell you, um, the minute I put cameras in the home, I'm talking about monitor security device cameras that are on 24/7, that really gave them attention. That was almost like, I mean, bringing candy to a picnic for fire ants, because that really ratcheted up the activity when those electronic devices were set up.
I remember Nikki. She spent a couple months watching those cameras, and she had seen and there was there audio when you had that too when she was doing that? Was she able to hear?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so. I
yeah.
remember EVPs
Nikki,
from that.
her and Dominique were able to monitor the house almost 24 by 5, 24 by 7. And yeah, it had two-way to where you could listen in. They heard a lot of stuff. I mean, they
Yeah.
heard furniture being dragged around. Of course, there's no furniture being moved around. You just hear it. They heard a mother and child screaming, door slams, knocking, tapping. Um, yeah, they heard a lot of, and they got it on audio and video. Nikki and them did. Yeah.
Well, I think your case is classic in the sense that you go days with nothing happening, except for the knocks, but you had the Ghost Adventures episode. They came in for what, 4 hours, 10 hours tops.
Yeah, yeah, but they were. I mean, actual investigation 5 hours. The B-roll team, not Zach's team, the B-roll was 3 days, but they're not investigating.
No,
Zach's team were there 5 hours. Yeah, five
I'm talking about
hours.
Zach's team. When they're doing that, and yeah, not much happened.
Yeah,
But that's the thing. When you live with the paranormal, it's not going to come on demand. And I compared it, I think,
yeah,
last time to the dancing frog from the cartoons, the dead dancing frog. Like the guy has the frog in the
yeah,
box, and like he dances
yeah,
when nobody's around. As soon as he tries
yeah,
to show buddy, it's a look, a dead frog. That's what I compared it to last time, and
yeah,
that's what it is. That's what I love about your case is that people are like, well, oh my god, there's all this crazy activity. You got to realize it's not every day. It's not something you're having this
no,
every day, but it's happening enough that it can be documented if an investigator has the time to do that, to watch those cameras, to watch the activity. And what I loved about your case is that you had the security cameras, you have the audio, and you let investigators into your life. You let them look into your life. You had Krissa and Nikki, and then you had the team from Britain come and stay at your home. I mean, you let all these people
yeah,
monitor you just to prove it, just to prove that it's going on. If you were hoaxing or not into this, nobody would never let somebody have that kind of access if it wasn't for real. You want people to see it. Eventually it's going to happen if they just keep watching.
yeah. And the good thing about Nikki and Carissa is they monitored the house probably about 7 or 8 months before they actually came to live. And even when I was going on business trips, they still monitor the house. And you can account for my whereabouts because I'm halfway across the country or the world by now, and they're still monitoring the house, getting phenomena. And then you're right, when they come and live with you, each one had a room to themselves. Carissa stayed 3.5 weeks. I just went to work every day and let her say, "Hey, the house is yours."
She liked
Nikki
to
was
do
the
that.
same way. Yeah, and they would be texting me. I'm at work, and they're like, "Oh my God, we're getting all this stuff." And Steve and Dawn were the same way. Um, yeah, we're gonna come in, live, and you're right. You see so much more when you're at ground zero for a long period of time,
Yeah,
and both teams were able to do that. But also keep in mind, yeah, me and Tina, we would go weeks sometimes without activity.
right. That's how it
I don't
works.
know why. I don't know why a portion of the paranormal community that bought into the Ghost Adventures episode of nothing being there would think, because we had no activity at all for a whole year in 2013.
Yeah, I remember
There was
that. Yeah.
activity in 2012, dead silence in 2013, and then it just came back out of nowhere in 2014. So,
What
and
I got
that's
to
a
ask
year. It
you,
was about a year, 2 months.
what is your gut feeling? What tells you in the inside that during that 2013 period why it was quiet? Any feelings or intuition to why you think it was quiet during a whole year? That's what's interesting about the paranormal. I mean, people live in a house for a couple of years, nothing happens, and then suddenly it goes nuts.
Yeah, I don't know. That's one of the questions I cannot answer in my book because I tried to wrestle and I was looking for all kind of theories because keep in mind we had activity from May, the time we moved in, to December of that same year, 2012, and the activity just stopped. And we were about at that time ready to pack it up, and then it stopped. We thought we had dodged the bullet. We're like, oh, it's gone. And the whole year it was relatively quiet, and then it came back after my weird fall. I had a weird, mysterious fall that made me be laid up for 2 months,
Oh
and the
wow!
activity came soon after. Yeah, I got pushed down the stairs and tore my right
Ooh,
patella tendon, and I had to do surgery to reattach that. And I talk about it in the book of while I'm in upstairs because Tina's at work now. I'm in the
right.
house by myself, but I can't move around. I hear all this knocking, footsteps,
And you can't move.
uh, and I can't move. And there's like somebody's
Oh,
going through the kitchen cupboard. And so imagine that where you can't move and you feel like somebody's in your house. And there were times I would crawl out of bed and go to the rail on the second floor. I'm like, Tina, are you home? Is anybody down there? But I dare not get on the staircase with me only being the only one in the house. But um, yeah, a few weeks after that, the armoire got thrown,
oh my!
and then
Like
that's
a
when the
whole
activity.
armoire? How big was
Yeah,
the
a whole
armoire?
300. Armoire is about. I'm 6'5". The armoire is about 6'4",
Oh my
250,
god!
270 pounds. Oh, it got tossed around like matchsticks. Yeah, that was
See
it. Yeah, that was
that's the
nothing.
point. Even as me as a paranormal investigator, if I saw something like that, I'd get my investigators out of the house because if it can do that to a dresser, what can it do to a human? You know, if it
Oh
can do
yeah.
that, right? I mean, what could it do to a human? That's what my concern would be. Living there, that had to be pretty frightening to see that kind of force. Or was this one
That's
of those
type
things
of
that happened when you weren't
force.
there?
No, these are things that happen in the middle of the night where you sleep and you hear a loud crash, and you wake up and the armoire that was once over there is now on this side of the hallway.
That's crazy.
Um, or you're in your office and the armoire goes flying. You see something zoom by in the hallway corridor, and it's the armoire. Um, that happened
The
a lot. I
armoire
mean, the
zoom
armoire got
by,
tossed around. Yeah,
zoom
I mean,
by.
yeah, it's been thrown across the room. Um, it got tossed so many times, Jason, that it was all disheveled and broken up to where we had to. I mean, when I moved it out of the house, I was moving it out in pieces. I mean, it
Maybe they
couldn't
didn't
stand
like the
up
armoire.
erect anymore.
I guess they didn't
They didn't
like your
like it. There's
decorative
a
taste.
lot of things.
It
They
makes
didn't
me
like a lot of
wonder.
things because it was in the hall.
I mean, it makes me wonder. The first instance you had was the boy coughing, and I mean, it's called the Demon Seattle House. Is your feelings? I mean, do you feel it could still be a child ghost, or do you feel like it is something demonic?
Oh, it's all the above.
That I
Yeah, it's
like that answer
something
actually.
demonic, huh?
I like that answer. All
What's
the
that?
above. When you said all the
Yeah,
above,
it's all. Yeah, it's all the above. When you look at the evidence that Nikki, Carissa, Stephen, Dawn, and other teams compiled, I mean, you've talked to Nikki. The evidence was just everywhere. They were finding evidence of residual. They were finding evidence of poltergeist, of intelligent haunting. But then you got the stench smell, you got the flies, you got the writing on the wall, you got the scratches, you got the shadowy figures and the creatures. So you got that demonic element too.
well, you know what the other thing
Um,
is? They say demonic. I'm not a demonologist or demonic expert at all, but from what I've heard for the demonic is, and I could feel this be true, is that demons like to hold other spirits trapped to them. So it could be demonic with other
yeah,
spirits running around at the same time, trapped.
I always tell people when I'm asked, because I get this question a lot of how many spirits do you think you had in the house? And I said, no, I always tell people no less than 11 spirits were in that house at any given moment. Because keep in mind, I saw multiple female apparitions. I call the Gray Lady in my book, where she's 100% gray. She likes to run around and turn off lights. There's another apparition I call the White Lady. Same appearance, but now she's all white. She's chalk white. And watching her is more like watching a movie. She's just very non-complacent, no eye contact whatsoever. But she does just walk left to right,
So like a
left to right. That's all
residual.
she does.
So
Yeah,
like
like
a
a
residual.
residual. Yeah, but not the Gray Lady. The Gray Lady will interact. She will peek around corners and look at you. She will turn off lights and take off running. Yeah, so that aspect of it, um, just the shadowy figures. I mean, Nikki was there and picked up the heartbeats coming from the bed mattress.
I
The
remember. I forgot about
pulsating.
that. I forgot about the heartbeats coming from the mattress. That is really creepy. That is really
Yeah,
creepy.
that's, and she felt that with her hand and just was blown away. And she was right. There's no, how do you quantify that with today's paranormal equipment? Because all that I asked Nikki to do was, because I lived this for 2 years, is put your hand right here. And sure enough, she did. And I was hoping it would still be there when she did. I was like, they're gonna stop doing it so she touches it. But no, she felt it, and it lasted a while, and she was like blown away. So all those things, like I said, it's all the above. But you're right. I do believe um, demonic spirits trap others, and it became a grand central station. Not all the spirits in the home were malevolent. A majority were. I will say the malevolent ones were running things. I do know that for certain. They were in charge.
Well, I wonder. I always wonder. Is look for significance in things. You talked about the armoire being thrown and busted like that. Could that be a significant thing to the spirit in the home? Maybe a spirit that was trapped in an armoire. As I don't know. I mean, somebody seemed pretty angry about the armoire. I mean, what?
Well, just they threw every. It wasn't just the armoire. It was books on the hallway bookshelf, ironing board, bar stool, chef knife. I mean, you got a chef knife in your kitchen. That got thrown at me multiple times.
Yeah, the knife is
It was
very
just,
concerning.
yeah. I mean, the knife you talk about. I mean, you can't. It was so. How can I say it, Hollywood-esque to be in my office and something silver zoomed past me, and sure enough, it's a chef knife lodging in a wall. I mean, projectile candles were thrown. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff. The armoire was just the heaviest item to be thrown.
Well, I was worried about that,
Um,
but you start talking about them throwing knives at you. That's pretty bad. That's pretty much
Neither,
the
that was
limit.
toward the tail end. That was right when Ghost Adventures came, before and after um, did the knives get thrown. I mean, here's the deal. Just so your listeners can understand what's it like to live in that type of environment. It's almost like a war-torn environment. We had to confiscate, or I did, all the knives in the home.
I would.
I mean, we were down. We're now down to using plastic forks and knives and spoons because these objects are sharp and they don't need to be in the house if the spirit's coming within this close to throwing them at us. So yeah, I mean, we were down to just using the bare necessities, and at that point, you're just really a victim in the spirit. That's them, what they call it, vexating you,
They've
tormenting you
taken
to the
control.
extreme
They've
because
taken control. You're
they've taken
using plastic
control.
silverware.
Yeah, I'm using plastics. Um, when I iron, even today when I iron my clothes, I leave the iron out, leave the iron sitting on top of the ironing board. No, you can't do that in a Bothell house. If you leave an iron sitting on the ironing when you go to sleep, there's a good chance that iron is going to be thrown at you in the middle of the night.
Fire.
So you have to
Oh yeah.
now keep the iron in the garage or in the trunk of your car, and now you got to get up in the morning, drag it out, drag it back in the house, iron your clothes, and go to work. So yeah, you're right. They're controlling you and they're manipulating you, and you're pretty much at their mercy. Because I always told Tina, the new stuff scared us the most because once you have a knife thrown at you, there's a possibility of them throwing another knife. You don't like that
Getting better
possibility,
aim
but
at
at
it.
least you know. Right. But the question now is, Now that we've removed all the knives in the home, what are they going to throw as a replacement for the knives? And sometimes it's something smaller, sometimes it's something bigger, sometimes it's worse than the knife itself. So, yeah, those were some of the things we were worried about.
Definitely. Well, I want to get to our commercial break here, and we'll get back. And I think when we come back, we have a video from. You said it was like a poltergeist attack in your home that we're going to play. I think
Yeah,
it was around 2014.
this is one of the house attacks of me coming home due to the motion cameras saying motion or sound detected. But yeah, definitely one of the early stages of the house attack in 2014.
So we'll play that for people listening on Late Night in the Midlands. If you want to tune over to see that video, it's Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. That's our Facebook page. But you will hear Keith kind of narrating what's going on in that video a little bit there, so you'll have some idea what's going on. But I do want to play that video for our webcast audience. For people watching on our webcast audience, we are on L&M, Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Go there. Subscribe, donate, do what you can to help keep this network going and all the great hosts. Check out the new website. When we get back, we're going to have our guest, Keith Linder. We're going to talk about the Bothell Hell House. Is it a demon? Is there ghosts or spirits? What can torment and do all this crazy activity? We're going to talk more about that, and we'll have phone lines later in the show. All right, guys, be back with you in just a few minutes. Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Keith Linder. Like I said, we had him on 2 years ago. We talked about the Bothell Hell House. The experiences he's been living in are not your normal paranormal experiences. They are definitely the extreme. And we're going to get into some of the more activity ahead tonight. We're going to talk about some of the evidence, but there's a video we're going to play for people listening on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. You're going to hear some of the audio from that. I know it's probably not the best radio friendly, but I really want to play the video to get an idea of what he was living with, what he was doing. This guy documented a lot. There's a documentary out there that you can watch. We'll make sure we get that information out tonight so you can see some of the evidence. Keith Linder has a YouTube channel where he posts a ton of this evidence. I encourage you to go there and check it out. I mean, some incredible stuff. This guy's been living with it. And I know most of you ask, well, why would he stay? Well, sometimes I've seen this with people. They become amazed by the wonder of the paranormal. That's why I do a show. That's why I'm into the paranormal. I might stick around just to document it. I probably would, being a paranormal investigator. But when you do have a knife fly at your head, it makes you wonder. Most people would run out the door. So we're going to get to that with Keith tonight. And like I said, probably after the next commercial break, we will start to open the phone lines. But let's get back to our guest. Thank you for hanging in there with me, Keith. So, this video we're going to play, I just want to start out to get that. Jeff, if you want to start getting that video ready, we're going to play that here in a second. People, what's the YouTube channel people can find all these? You have a lot of videos, but where they can find this video and others?
Yeah, I mean, if you just go to YouTube and type in Keith Linder or Keith L., you'll find it relatively easy. There's over 536 videos. It starts from day one pretty much of the normal activity, someone we just talked about, lights going off and on, and then gradually over a 4-year time span, armoire being thrown, other phenomena, wall writings, missing objects, loud bangs. But yeah, a lot of evidence accumulated over the years. Nikki's stuff is on there. Carissa's stuff is on there. Other paranormal teams. The UK stuff is on there. It's pretty well documented. I mean, there's enough to chew on for anybody in the sense of depending what you like or what makes you interested in the paranormal. There's stuff on there that is going to, I guess, be of interest to a lot of people. So I definitely say go to the YouTube channel and learn about the wall writings, what some of that stuff was made out of, because we did find out.
We're going to get to that after the video. I want to talk about that. Yeah. That's what's interesting, because you're like, what's putting this on my wall? You know, that was one of the questions. You know, it's like, how is this even getting on my wall? You'd have 666 and other symbols drawn. We'll get to that after the video. They'll see it, and then we'll talk about it. All right, Jeff, do you have that video ready? Looks like he's getting it there. Again, people listening on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network, check us out at Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup, our Facebook page. You can see this video right now, or you can just go check it out on YouTube, but you can hear it. He's getting it ready to play here in a second. And most of this activity you'd happen during the day. You know, most paranormal investigations are going to be at night, but a lot of your activity, crazy stuff, would happen during the day while you're gone at work. You come home to find this.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that stumped Steve Mayer, who's been documenting poltergeist cases for over 30 years.
We had him on the show.
Normally
actually.
with a poltergeist,
I forgot about that.
Poltergeist. Oh, you did?
Yeah, we just had him on the show 2 weeks ago. I forgot about that connection that Steve came out to your house. I forgot about that. Oh my God, yeah.
So we're having activity. And that's what the cameras were there for, because you come home before you have cameras in the home, and your house is upside down. I mean, you got furniture upside down, lamps, tables, kitchen cabinet doors wide open, wall writings, and armoire leaning over. So yeah, I brought in cameras, and these cameras, when they detect motion or sound, they will send an email to your inbox. And this video that you're watching here is me coming home as a result of receiving a lot of emails. This is my office. This is like the 20-odd time out of 100 where I've come home and my offices look similar, if not worse.
Yeah, I mean, chairs thrown over.
On.
For people listening, there's a chair thrown over. I mean, you can see. I'd be worried I've been robbed.
Yeah, you think there's vandalism, but there's nothing taken. There's just stuff thrown over. And this is one of the first instances where the wall writings were on the wall. You see my speakers on the floor. I'm an IT guy. A lot of my IT stuff is trashed. Nothing missing. There's a camera right there. That's one of the motion cameras sitting on the.
Yeah, they would take in that center. Xbox.
Yeah, they were taking the Xbox, the stereo. That's my portable hard drive behind the monitor that you see back there. And it's got
666 on the wall now, and it looks like it could be like a spray paint, but that's not what it is it?
Well, that one we didn't get analyzed. That was one of the first instances of the wall writing. You can tell by the condition of the wall in the office that this is one of the first times, because we had to paint over this multiple times.
Yeah.
And it would just happen over and over and over, regardless how many times you paint over it. But this is, I think, the first or second time the office has had a wall writing on it. And then I talk about that in my book, about my reaction, my calm demeanor. I'm doing a survey. I'm just showing the viewer what's out of place, what's been knocked over, what's been trashed. You see the hallway's been knocked over. That's the ladder. That's one of the Bibles that caught fire later on.
I remember that.
There was a sage stick. The sage stick is gone. You see that clock? It's unplugged. There used to be a camera there as well. That's been knocked over. Those boxes have been knocked over. So what gave rise to all that is a camera in my office detected motion. I come home, lo and behold, here's all this stuff. But I want to say this is probably June or July of 2014. This is not even the beginning of the worst stuff. This is just introduction once again, because the phenomena came back around March or April of that same year after being gone for almost a year and 2 months. There's an upside down cross that got drawn several times. You saw briefly on the closet door there was 666 drawn there.
Right.
Upside down crosses on the back of the office door. I think I'm going to close that door and see another upside down cross. Your listeners, I want them to go back and watch this video at the very beginning, because within a minute of the video, when I'm standing in the doorway, there is an EVP that we discovered much later.
We can go back. We can try to listen to it. If you want to try to listen to it,
I don't know the exact time. I don't know the exact timestamp off the top of my head, but I will say it's within 45 seconds to a minute of the video. You will hear a Keith being whispered. It's not me. Tina's not even home yet. I think it's a female whispering the word Keith. And this video right here was in 2014. It's almost 4 years old. And it is 4 years old. And and then that voice, I think we caught it like 6 months ago upon review, because this video is in Stephen Dawn's documentary. But yeah, there's a Keith, there's a whisper there. And we've found out through a lot of my videos that on YouTube, Jason, that I just thought I had audio or video footage. We've now finding voices on a lot of these
Oh, I bet.
videos because I didn't know what an EVP was back in the day when I was doing this, and now upon review and other people are reviewing it, they're picking up voices all over the place. I mean, these are clear voices, no pareidolia or anything. These are just voices.
I remember
Most of them are.
I got an EVP from when Chris was there. She wanted me to analyze and help check out and
Oh, see,
compare to from your house,
yeah,
and yeah, it was incredible. And I wish I should have looked that EVP up. I have it probably somewhere, but yeah, I mean, you're going to catch those voices on there. You weren't looking for it at the time. You're not an investigator. You're just trying to figure out what's going on. Now, did you call the cops when you first came home and saw your house like this? Did you call the cops?
no, I didn't call it. I knew because I had a ADT security system installed, and none of that was tripped uh, prior to coming in. And the only room in the house that was like this is this room. This is a two-story house. No items were taken, and when I come home, the ADT security system is still armed. And the good thing
Yeah, I
about
could see not wanting
ADT
to call
is
the cops on
it
that.
timestamps every time a door or window is open or closed. And the last time a door or window was open or closed is when we left that morning to go to work.
Yeah, what would you tell the cops if you called them? Well, nothing's been taken, and my alarm
Yeah,
wasn't
there's
tripped.
nothing. Yeah,
You know, yeah, I could see that conversation not going so well. you know, I mean, but it's
yeah.
crazy the amount of the activity, amount of force to come home. I mean, I'd be really suspecting somebody's found a way into my house and is doing this.
Yeah, that was one of the I guess uh, pushbacks from online people of it looks vandalized, it looks trampled. You got somebody coming in, but that's just surface level. They don't know about the kid
Right.
cough. They don't know about ironing boards being thrown in the middle of the night. They don't know about the other stuff that we're experiencing. Had this just been the only thing that was happening ever in the history of the house, then of course, yeah, that's what you're left with of vandals, teenagers in the neighborhood. But like I said, this is just one event out of, like I said, it's over 536 videos, and that's just my channel. So yeah, it was just multiple events, and those who study poltergeist will tell you this room, as it looks right now, Jason,
Hmm.
is textbooks poltergeist activity. This is poltergeist one-on-one.
Well, I would say the stuff being moved is, but the writing on the wall, I don't know. I mean, I've seen poltergeist activity can take on a communication form, but the writing on the wall makes me think it's almost like a spirit's trying to up the ante, like try to make themselves be scarier. You know what I'm saying? They say sometimes dark spirits will try to mimic being demonic or being a demon. It's almost what I wonder with the upside down cross, like it's trying too hard to look like it's a demonic
Well,
thing
I
for
think
fear.
I'm glad you brought it up. I use the analogy of, we live in a society, and these spirits, the one in my house especially, their goal is to play on your fears. Now, some of these
Right.
fears we have because I'm scared of spiders, and for weird things, toy spiders were popping up in this house.
Oh
But
man.
I'm really terrified of actual spiders. But these spirits like to cling to the society norms of 666, upside down cross, because once you get in those terms, I'm talking about me and Tina, and the anxiety goes up, the angst goes up. Now, for me and Tina,
Exactly.
we didn't get terrified of 666 being written on our wall. That didn't terrify us. I saw through that clear as day. I like, oh, okay, they're trying to get a rise out of us. That's not going to scare me. What scares me are the stuff like the fires.
That's
When
what
there's a
scare me.
fire
Yes.
taking place, that's a little different. But I do know these things have a tendency to go either through the person's memory banks or society memory banks or whatever, and try to play on those cliche fears of, oh, 666, oh, demon. Um, but yeah, that was just so transparent, and I saw that immediately what the spirit was trying to do, because I didn't lose sleep about 666 being written on my wall. I got way other things to worry about besides the 666.
Now, when
That right there, if you look, it looks very amateurish. Looks something
Yeah.
like a teenager would do. But if you
That's
see
my feeling. Yeah.
the burnt markings behind it, that black stuff underneath the 666, that came from a fire a few days or a week before. That's from a fire that the fire department did have to respond to, and they came to our house, and they couldn't find out what caused that fire.
So they're burnt.
Yeah, you have the burnt markings underneath the 666. That scared me way more than the wall markings did.
So it was actually like burnt into your wall at one point. It was actual fire.
There used to be a poster there. If you on my other videos, I had a Final Fantasy poster. That's what you sort of see.
Yeah, he's got it
on my on your screen right there. The little Final Fantasy that came from.
He's trying to find it.
A poster in my room that I was taking a shower, and the fire alarm went off in the entire house. So I run out of my bedroom. Right there. That's where that marking came from. That poster. When I walked into my office, that poster was on fire. I mean,
oh my God.
Flames literally on it. You could see it melted onto the wall. This is before the 666. That's why you see the burnt markings underneath the 666. And that poster was trash. It melted on the wall. The fire department responded 4 minutes later because I called them. And I wanted to document them responding to the house. Right. And I wanted to get their ascertain as to root cause, and they could not tell me. I knew it was paranormal or supernatural related, but I wanted to cover all bases. And like the captain said, posters don't catch fire on walls. There's no heat source. You don't have a heater. Matter of fact, it's spring. There's nothing in this office that would give rise to this poster just literally catching fire. And once again, going back to, that's just poltergeist textbook 101. There are documented cases where poltergeists do set items on fire. And this is this is just one of the things that they do.
I've seen it. I've seen the aftermath of it. There was a house I investigated where the people left, and they left because of the fires, the spontaneous fires, and it scared the hell out of them. And they left all their stuff. They left all their stuff. I remember when we investigated, it was an abandoned house, but there's TVs in there, there's clothes, you can see where they left their food, because they were all sitting at a kitchen table, and on the top of the counter where no heat source is at, there's no stove there's no nothing, no electrical. It just poofed up in flames, a fire. And I remember going in and seeing those scorch marks right where they told me they would be, because they didn't want to go back. Into that kitchen. They went into the house, but they didn't even want to go into that kitchen. They like I said, you could see where it was nasty, but like all the food they were eating, everything was left. They never went back, and it was amazing to see. I just remember looking at that burnt mark and trying to figure out how the heck did this fire there's nothing here. I can't give you a logical explanation for how that fire started, and it just out of on a counter, empty counter, you could see where a scorch mark went up and it hit the ceiling. That's enough to make me leave. Fire. For sure.
That's scary. That's the part of, hey, that's sort of scary. The Bible's catching fire, sort of scary. We had a lot of fires in the house. We had 3 Bibles catch fire. Those computer monitors you saw earlier when you showed the video, wave bye-bye to them, because they're going to catch fire probably August of that same year.
Oh my God, they burnt your computer monitors? I'd be getting angry. I'd be like, man, that's money. Oh my God. Just burned them up? Did they like flames?
Those 2 17-inch monitors were toast in addition to the hard drive behind it. It was a considerable amount of dollars lost in the home due to items going missing that never returned, items catching fire.
I'm interested in the objects that showed up that you never owned or had in the house. You said toys would show up, like the spiders. You didn't have a drawer of plastic spiders in the house anywhere, so where'd the toys come from? How do they make an object appear?
I could not put heads or tails as to what the toy spiders meant. I don't have toys. I'm a grown man, but we had no kids. But once again, toy spiders, Hot Wheel cars, girl trinkets, girl jewelry, female jewelry, not Tina's, just female jewelry. All of that in weird places. The spirit would always put one or two toy spiders next to one or two, maybe three upside down crosses. And I could not understand the significance of that. Maybe there isn't any, except it's just weird. But it would always do that. And I don't know where these spiders come from. They're toys, they're plastic. Some of
Yeah.
them are because have made or what year they were made in. Made in 67, 72, or the year written underneath the toy spider. But we don't
What
own
year was
that.
it? You said there was a year on some of
The
the
house
spiders?
was built in 2005, so it's not like somebody came here or it came with the house.
But you said there
But
was a
yeah, you
date on
show the
those?
burnt Bibles, and yeah, pause on that Bible because I want your listeners to see this Bible. Because see, now I understand
Yeah.
this is the Bible. This is Bible number 3, and the interesting thing about this Bible is there's a shelf above it. You can see the shadow that it's casting,
Yeah.
and you can see the wall, and you can see the wood that the Bible is resting on. There is no residue from smoke, from ash, from heat underneath the Bible. I mean, if you lift that Bible up, there's no heat print, there's no Bible print. There's definitely no smoke damage on the shelf above it. You know how if the book was to catch fire, you would think the heat would sort of
Right.
cook the shelf above. That wall definitely should be looking like the wall, like the poster wall looks like.
It's like they
If that
burnt it and
Bible
put it
really
some.
caught fire like that, sitting like that.
It looks like they
Um,
burnt it somewhere else and then sat it there.
that's what it looks like, but that's where that Bible always sat.
Now, was
That's
it
where it was
closed when it
sitting
was
when we
set?
went to work that day and came back home, and it was still there. So now it's just got a pile of ash on it. Um, I don't think it was disturbed. I'm just sort of interesting because I've seen other phenomena in the house happen within a blink of an eye of being Tina, and things just happen that fast within a blink of an eye. Um, we've actually, me and Tina one day were watching TV. You see the camera pointing up.
Yeah.
Um, One day we were watching TV, Jason, and we have a throw rug in the middle of the living room. And I kid you not, within less than it takes to blink your eye, the throw rug, pretty big, sizable throw rug, almost covers, if not almost covers the entire living room, was rolled up. I mean, it was halfway, if not three-quarters, rolled up. And we didn't see it roll up. It was just 1 minute or 1 second, really. It's flat. The other second, it's now rolled up. And it's just one of those instances where you would turn your back and turn your back around again, and everything in the room has been rearranged. So there's something supernatural or physics we don't understand that gives rise to that, because that happened a lot where you would see, I mean, we had a step ladder appear, a paranormal team, I believe came from Tacoma, Washington, and we were all talking, and a step ladder, the one you saw knocked down in the hallway, was once downstairs. We were upstairs talking at the foot of the bed in the master bedroom, and I think we're like in a circle of 5 people, and all of a sudden the step ladder just appears in the middle of everyone,
The-
and everybody's eyes just like, wait a minute. We know the step ladder was in the kitchen because we just came from the kitchen. We came upstairs because we want to investigate your bedroom, and here's this same ladder. It wasn't there when we walked into the bedroom. It was there probably 10 minutes of being in the master bedroom. It was
and
like instant. Like you snap your finger. Like I always tell people, you ever watch I Dream of Jeannie? Remember how she used to do the
right.
little bang and make stuff disappear and pop up? That's what our house is like. That's what items appear that fast or they disappear that fast. Yeah.
It's called an A port, and the way that they, it's amazing how these things happen, where they could just It's not just levitating or moving objects. It's literally, Star Trek, man. They're teleporting it to another location in a matter of a second. Yeah.
In a matter of a second, instantly, and it riddles the mind. I mean, it riddles the mind how that, because you don't believe it. You're like, wait a minute, how did that happen? How this was here, this was over there, now it's over here. Where in between did that all transpire? I get it. If I went to the store, came back, ladder's over here now. Okay, no, these things were happening instantaneous and multiple times. I mean, we're talking large objects, small, medium. Size is no consequence. Yeah, multiple times.
And it makes you wonder. Do you believe there were? I mean, were you able to? Did your gut instincts ever tell you there was any kind of purpose or message at all in some of the stuff that they did?
There's no rhyme or reason. I think I want to sometimes say it was for kicks, sometimes to get a rise out of us. Sometimes I felt they were studying us. Therefore, we were some part of some experiment. Other times I just think it was just to get a rise out of me and Tina, see how we would react, because every phenomena brings about a reaction. It's careful not to overreact. And sometimes we did overreact, because then you're really at their mercy. I really thought when they did the upside down man, that they was trying to tell us something. I was like, upside down man. That means a man has died. That's a Native American. It means a man has died. Are they trying to tell us a man has died underneath this house, this land? I'm like, help me out here. Just bring your point home.
How far in was that upside down man? How far into the haunting was that?
That started happening about August of 2014, all the way up until December, January of 2015. Yeah,
so it was when it picked back up. That's when that happened.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it came about 3 months or 2 months after your video you just showed.
Well, I want to roll into another commercial break and get back and open up the phone lines for people to call in. But I want to talk more about that. But also, if you have anything of all these investigators and yourself, I'm sure had to be looking into the history of the land, the history of what was there, because it's only it was a 10-year-old house when you moved in, right?
Yeah, very young house.
So when we get back, we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about some of the what they tried to figure out, because you always wonder with these houses, what's the history? Why is this happening? He's trying to make some kind of sense. So what's the history? A house that's not that old. Well, sometimes it's the land. Sometimes there was a previous house. We'll get into that when we come back, and we'll open up the phone lines. Remember, people, there'll be some quiet because we're playing out on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Go to the website. It's new. Check it out. Subscribe, donate. We need your help to keep this great radio network alive. All right, guys, we'll be back with you in just a few minutes. Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Keith Linder. You'll remember him from Demon in Seattle House from Ghost Adventures. We had him on the show 2 years ago. We're bringing him back on to re-look into this case. There's so much great evidence. Go check out his YouTube channel, and he's got a new book, The Bothell Hell House. Definitely want to check that out. There's so much more to this story we can't cover in a 3-hour show, and so much evidence. Read the book, go watch the videos. You really want to look at something crazy, a paranormal story that is just out of this world. This is one of them, and one I believe, because nobody would stick with this. Nobody would keep documenting and doing all that he did. He was like I am, in wonder of the paranormal. He wanted to document it and show the world, and he's done a great job of it. And I want more. We're going to get more into that story tonight. But you can call in. There are a couple ways to call into the night if you have a question. We are doing a 3-hour show, so you got some time to call in. There's the phone line, 219-230-4444. 219-230-4444. You can also call in by Skype ID oojblandoo. I think the J Bland Paranormal Soup Skype ID is working as well. And then there's the video Skype line I hope is working, is Souplivechat 800 live chat. You can call in by video on that, and we can see you, and Keith can see you. All right, let's get back to our guest. Thanks for sticking with me, Keith. Now, we talked about, you mentioned like being the poltergeist activity. One of the things of poltergeist activity, some people believe in theory, is that it's centered around a person. Could you or Tina at that time been feeling it, or it could have been some kind of hidden psychological thing going on that was fueling some psychokinetic activity? Do you believe that could have been any kind of possibility in this situation?
Not in our case. I know a lot of teams, um, when interviewing us, ask us that question because it's a fair question to ask because you're trying to determine root cause. And one of the things that sort of made this case interesting and maybe rewrite the definition of what a poltergeist is basically they were able to determine it was not Keith and Tina that were at the root of the activity taking place. Like I said, most of the phenomena in the home happened while we were away. We would
Right.
come home and the phenomena is like that. We would travel abroad, vacations, da 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 da. Nothing happened. And of course, you saw the episode where Ghost Adventures put us in a hotel and they did a lockdown. Nothing happened. But there is, and this is the part that Steve Mayer, when he came to the home, introduced of there is a 1% or 3% of poltergeist cases where there's no agent needed at all
Right.
whatsoever. Those cases may happen 1 in 50 years. This really perplexed him in the SPR and whatnot, because you're right, there was no agent. We did find that a family before us, 5 years before us, did have activity in the home.
Really?
When I caught a hold of the previous tenant in 2014, it was late summer. Took 2 years to find her. She did admit to me numerous times of the phenomena that they happened. She was basically telling me what we had already been living through of kitchen cabinet doors slamming, waking up finding all the kitchen cabinet doors open, phantom footsteps, noises, and electrical issues. And the only thing I told her was, "Hey, my name is Keith Linder. I now live in the home that you used to live in. We're having some weird things go on." But I didn't tell her. I purposely withheld what those weird things were.
Right.
And she just went out and just said, "All right, this is what happened." Bam, 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 bam. And I knew I had come to the right person. I knew I was speaking to the right person because and these are what she described. She said the house was a living hell for them, and they were there for a year, if not less. She said it was a living hell from the day one. She always felt that the house was alive. Um, they were not calling it paranormal; they were just calling it weird. But they got the heck out of the house one morning. Her and her husband were not home. It was just the nanny and the kids,
Oh,
and
kids
the
there.
nanny and the kids. Yeah, they did have 3 children, and the nanny woke up to a lot of banging coming from the kitchen. And when she went down there, all the kitchen cabinet doors were wide open, and that's when they got out the house and never came back.
It didn't take much for them. But
No, it didn't. No, yeah, it didn't take much for them. Um, Talking to her, the previous tenant, and there's multiple chapters of her in the book. She told me her son saw the shadowy figures, same ones I saw. He spoke a lot about them. He had a
how
mysterious illness, a
how old was
meningitis.
he?
I think he was 6 years old at the time. And his room was my office, the child's room.
Oh,
Um, and that sort of explained to me, you know, why my room was the room of all rooms. My room was the room from hell. I mean, there's the house from hell, and then there's a room inside the house from hell, and that was my office. But so that sort of gave weight as to why that might have been, other than the fact that it was also my office and it was ground control or the command center, if you will, for me collecting all the phenomena. But no, it made sense when she told me what they saw and witnessed, but were not able to put their finger on it. They just got out. And a lot of people have told me that most people do get out and don't ever reach the level that we witnessed. I think me and Tina witnessed so much because we were there 4 years.
Right.
I'm pretty sure the spirits were like, these idiots are still here. Wow, we're really,
We
you
got
know,
to up our game.
yeah, we got up our game. I mean, we haven't thrown armoire since 1472. You know, it's like, but and we're still here. Most of the time, like the previous sentence said, when they had the kitchen cabinet doors, they were out of there. And of course, they didn't tell the homeowner. They didn't tell the tenants after them. Because I mean, how do you tell somebody that? I mean, it was very hard for me to even tell my landlord, to even tell friends and family and neighbors. Yeah, we have fires. Yeah, stuff blows up in our house. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
come over for a barbecue. Hey
Yeah,
guys,
right?
football day. You want to come over? Nobody wants to come over anymore. Nobody wants to, and
Free
they give you the
pyrotechnics.
nobody wants to chill at Keith's house, and they have any excuse for do. Oh, I gotta go mow the lawn. Dude, it's December. There's no lawn mowing in December. So,
Well, we do have a caller on our video Skype line. It was her first time ever calling into our show is when you were a guest, is Laura Lee. How you doing tonight, Laura Lee?
I'm great, thanks. How are you? And hi, Keith.
hey, how you doing? Good to see you again.
Actually, good. I know we've actually talked, Keith and I, on Messenger, and I was telling him some of the stuff probably almost a year ago, Keith. And I know I had mentioned, actually, that's how I found Jason's show. So this is a really special show for me with you being here because I was looking for help everywhere. And I had seen your episode on Ghost Adventures. Didn't believe the way it was portrayed because I know what we were living through, and you were on that night. So the one thing I wanted to ask you, when we were talking, you said you still had a little bit of activity with your move. But the one thing I really wanted to ask was, what did anybody else experience activity in your house besides you and Tina? Because we've had other people experience in our house besides our family.
Yeah, in the Bothell home, I mean, we had a housewarming party. All the women at the housewarming party complained of their hair being pulled.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Some of the women had jewelry went missing. Whatever they came to the house with and left with is now missing. Others, for a short period of time, had activity in their homes. I mean, I had a female friend, who
Really?
came to our house who wasn't a believer, and she sort of went room to room challenging the air. She would look up and say, "Ha ha ha, do whatever you got to do." And I told her, "Don't do that, don't do that, don't do that." And within about a week or 2 weeks time, yeah, she had a rough time. She had two homes. She had one in Kirkland, which is not far from Bothell, and another home in California. And she started having clothing being thrown out of her closet in the California home. One time she called me frantic one night because all the corks and all her wine bottles were popping out simultaneously. The contents of her freezer were emptied and went missing. Her and her mama went to the grocery store and loaded up the freezer and come back an hour later and everything's gone.
What?
I
Yeah,
relate to that because I have a friend. I live in Northwestern Ontario, Canada.
yeah.
Well, we talk on video. They have had something happen to them. We have it on video. I've respected their privacy. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Please continue. I apologize. There's a bit of a delay.
Oh, no problem, no problem. Yeah, so yeah, a lot of friends, and we've lost a lot of friends. I mean, it's not personal against me and Tina. They still love us to death to this day. But after witnessing phenomena in our house, after knowing maybe a friend or a family member in their childhood, or maybe they got brushed with it as a child, they never came back. I mean, they never came back to the house, and the relationship, even to this day, is sort of strained because they don't. I mean, just the thought or the possibility of being contaminated is enough to where they're like, no, don't want to go there. But yeah, a lot of friends saw phenomena. I'm talking about chairs sliding across the room, objects being thrown. Yeah, well, a lot of people saw that.
Yeah, we had that with one of my son's friends, actually. He didn't believe in it and he got grabbed. He's never been back to the house. We've had that too.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
so sorry you've gone through that. Thank you so much for sharing your story with the public, though, because people need to know this. A lot more people are going through this and what they realize, that other people realize. We don't talk about this. So,
yeah. I get about one email a week from somebody all over the world who's going through something like this or worse, and they don't talk about it, but they are like now starting to, because they've seen this story for the last 4 years. And one of the things, I guess, if there's any silver lining from this, it has to be the learning aspect of trying to become more familiar in dealing with the phenomena and how to, I guess, move on after you've experienced something like this. Because we were an island, we were siloed and cut off. It's not like you could pick up a phone and call 1-800-GHOST or us and talk to
do that.
somebody. You can do it now. Yeah, I got a whole bunch of numbers now. But when you're going through the events, there's nobody to call, and it's not information you just want to confide with anybody. It's not like I can call. I can talk about my brother about anything. My brother, my twin brother. I have a twin, but I can't talk to him about this. It's just he's not going there. He would have to see it, live it, and even at that phase, he's not trying to go there mentally because it challenges your belief system, things you see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Laura Lee,
Absolutely. Thank you so much for taking my phone call. Sorry, Jason, were you going to say something?
I was going to say, it meant a lot for you to call back in tonight because, when you first called in, that was one of my favorite phone calls of all time. Not just because you called in next week and you became a fan, but it became one of my favorite phone calls from day one when you called in because you heard Keith's story, you related to the fact that you're going through this, he's going through this, you're not alone, and you called into the show. You called in the show to relate your story and not feel alone. That's why I do this show. I do this show to bring awareness and for people to have somewhere to come together that are experiencing these things or believe in these things to be able to freely be able to talk about it. Because, for me, I had a shadow person experience that when I was 17 that just rocked my world. I mean, literally almost drove me to to a very bad end. And I had no one to talk to. No one to talk to. Not even my mom, who I probably could have talked to. She's a very understanding, open person. But I felt like anybody I tell this to is going to think I'm crazy. They're going to lock me up or not be my friend. Or, so this is why I do this show. Is for that. Your phone call, that when you called in 2 years ago, that's why I do this show. That's why I love it. And that's why you people, shameless plug, can call in right now at 219-230-4444 or Skype ID oojblandoo or see us in the video call and call in at Souplivechat 800 live chat. But that's what it's for, people. Call in. If you've had your paranormal experiences, you're not alone. That's why I do this show, is you're not alone. We have all experienced this. And when I hear you talk about seeing shadows in your home, the kind of activity it did, I had some little bit of those experiences with the shadow person. I want to get into that, but Laura Lee, thank you for calling in, and I want to give a plug because I didn't last week because I didn't know if I could yet, but Laura Lee is now a host on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Go check it out, latenightinthemidlandsradionetwork.com. Donate, subscribe. But Laura Lee is a host. Now you give your shout out now, your times. I don't want to get it wrong, so go ahead and tell the people when your show is on.
I'm on Mondays to Fridays every night, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And thank you, Jason. You were my first caller to my show.
It was an honor.
You guys. Really special show for me. I finally found out I wasn't alone, you guys, and I'm so
You're not
grateful.
alone.
I'll still be. Oh, go ahead, Keith.
Oh, I'm just gonna say you're not alone. No, I'm not alone. Thank God.
That's what it's about. Because there's people going through this. There's people going through this that are not talking about the experiences they're having. They're not talking about it. All right, I do have another phone call on the line. Thank you so much, Laura Lee.
Thank you. I'll be listening. Thank you, guys, as always.
All right, have a great night. All right, who do we got on the phone line here?
Oh, it's a big surprise. My name is Heidi Hollis. How are you?
Oh, my God, that's a huge surprise. Hello, Heidi. How you doing? Heidi Hollis wrote one of my favorite books. I still have a beat-up copy nobody else can get nowadays, she told me, is The Secret Shadow War. I love that book because when I went through my shadow person experience. The only book I could find of anybody talking about shadow people was your book. So it's a true honor for you to call into the show.
Oh, no, it's a pleasure. I've now joined Late Night in the Midlands, so it's
That's right.
cool. I caught your show popping up, and I actually had Keith on my other show just a couple of weeks ago, so it's kind of cool.
That's awesome.
And,
I just saw
After
that
Hours
you're a
AM,
host.
I'm on, yeah, one of the co-hosts on there. So it's awesome to drop in. I heard you guys mention shadow people. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Oh yeah.
I got a call. I've been watching the whole show though, and really, really cool, interesting information, and you know, the stuff that you're covering, and it's just so pointed. And I didn't catch. I don't know if you mentioned or not what was actually the content of the 666 and the writing on the walls. It looks like ash of sage or something to me, but I don't know what it is. That's my question to you.
Well, one episode of the 666 and Upside Down Cross was ash. That was the first ever wall writing in the home. And how we know that is when we came home, we saw the wall writings, and the sage stick, not only by it was sitting on the office table versus the bookshelf where we left it, but it was also like it had recently been used because it was half the size of when we left that morning, and it was still warm and smelt to the touch. But the wall writing from the video he showed a few minutes ago, we never had that analyzed. At that phase, I didn't know, or it never crossed my mind to have the substance analyzed. I did, or had hoped when Ghost Adventures came, because they came in November of 2014. I thought they were going to analyze the wall because they paid a lot of attention to it. Zach and them asked a lot of questions. And when I came back home the next morning, they were gone. I saw nothing that gave me the indication that they took a piece of it with them. And then when I saw the episode 2 months later where they sort of were questioning about the legitimacy of the wall writings, my question was, well, why didn't you take a piece with you? You had access to the home. We were not even there. You could have easily took a piece of the closet door or the wall and just watched me and Tina's reaction in doing so. But they didn't. I did finally get some of the wall analyzed from the Halloween attack, which is Halloween night of 2014. But that came after Steve and Dawn, the guys from the UK, came to the home, and that came back bone black. That came back as being a substance that's 100% organic, and it's made out of incinerated buffalo or cow bone.
What?
And how we determined that was basically had the substance analyzed with what is called an XRD or XRF gun. It's a radioactive gun that will zap the substance and tell you within a nanosecond the makeup of that substance. But it won't tell you it's bone black. It will just tell you the makeup of it. Well, I took the makeup of that report and start calling numerous art galleries. I called on the West Coast and the East Coast, and finally 5 of them said, just on that makeup alone, that they're 95 to 98% sure that it's bone black, because the makeup of it is very, there was 90 something percent phosphate, calcium, and other substances that they said, yeah, that's buffalo bone, that's cow bone. They used to use that back in the mid 1800s for paint, calligraphy, and pictography, especially in the early plain days in North America, when you had a mass extermination of buffalo, and just buffalo bones just littered the countryside. So they came up with the technique of, let's turn these bones into paint, and therefore sell the paint as a means of substance. But there's only one store, Jason, in the entire world that sells bone black, and it sells in small quantities, and that store is in Chicago. And there's a video on YouTube.
Wow.
I think it's called Dangerous Jobs, where the TV show did an hour episode on Bone Black, and it goes through the whole origin of it, where it came from. But yeah, we were pretty sure the markings from Halloween night is Bone Black.
Wow. That's wild. I'm here in Chicago. Wild.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
No,
So there you go.
Really,
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's really interesting stuff. I was like, what, did you have I'm like, did you have a T-bone steak laying around that got charred? I'm like, what do you mean? But now I get it. Wow, that's crazy. Crazy. That's wild stuff. Well, thanks for answering it. And Jason, doing a fantastic show. Love it. Thanks for taking my calls. It's really
Well, it's
really
a true
neat.
honor for you to call in. True honor for you to call in. What day and time is your show now?
I just had my first show this past Friday. It's called Heidi Hollis the Outlander, and 8 p.m. Central Standard Time for 2 hours. So, and I'm also on Tuesday night co-hosting on the Kevin Cook Show. So, have a blast
Awesome.
doing it all. So, yeah, we've just both moved on over to Late Night in the Midlands. So I'm happy to join you guys.
Oh, honored to have you, and welcome to the Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network family.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it. And thank you for answering the question. I appreciate it. You guys have an awesome evening.
You too, Heidi. Have a great night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
You know, that was a true honor for me because, like I said, when I was going through my experience, there really wasn't anybody to turn to, and I found her book about shadow people. And like I said, there wasn't anything for me to find then on that subject. And you saw shadows in your house. I don't know if they were shadow people, but one of the things that made me think about my experiences, the stuff moving, things like that would happen. But there was almost, with the shadow people, there's this like really twisted, playful kind of way they have. So it makes me wonder if there is any connection to that. Should have asked Heidi.
Yeah, we had, I mean, there's like two categories with the shadows in our home, Jason. One of them was or gave rise to shadow persons or people. Let me tell you, there's a quick story. There was one instance where me and Tina are laying in bed, and it was just so noisy in the house. And by noisy in the house, I mean the hallway, to where we just said, we're going to close the bedroom door and just try to forget about it. Right. So we closed the bedroom door, but we left a light on, all the lights on in the hallway and in the house, so that light was radiating underneath the bedroom door. And I kid you not, when you look underneath the bedroom door, you saw shadows going left to right, right to left, as if it was mass movement of people traversing through the hallway. And you can hear their footsteps. I mean, you can hear their footsteps. Now, the kicker about that is, I have a camera on the bookshelf at that time, and I could pull up my camera on my smartphone and look in real time through the camera in the hallway. So I logged into my hallway camera, just what am I going to expect to see?
Right.
Because right now I'm seeing shadows underneath my door. What is my camera going to see? And I logged in, and sure enough, nothing. All I see is an empty hallway. Lights on, I can see our bedroom door is clear as day, but no shadows, nobody's in the hall. But those shadows are still coming beneath the door with the naked eye. And then the other shadow things that I saw, sort of goes along the lines of what the previous tenant's son said he saw, which was what I call the miniatures. These are about a foot, if not less, in height. They walk very stealth-like, stop clay animation. They look kind of like gremlins, but they're not gremlins. They got frog-like legs. I mean, they got hind legs. Wow. And they creep around the corners of the house. They hang around the doorway.
But they're like a shadow
of the house.
But they're like a little shadow figure, though. Like you can't see detail.
Yeah,
of
they're
the shadow
figure. Yeah, you can't. There's not so much definition to them, except that they're pitch black, and they seem to not want to go directly into the light. They stay on the outer perimeter in the shadows, but every now and then I mean, I've seen them go across my door in numerous times, and just because I didn't tell this, like you, I don't tell this to many people, because how do you tell somebody that? They're gonna want to put you in a padded room.
Exactly what
But
I'm
when
saying.
people start coming to me saying, "Hey, I just saw something out of the corner of my eye in your house," then I will open up to them, because I'm like, "Aha, you're seeing a little bit what we've seen." Your listeners and you, I don't know if you've seen it yet, or if you saw the documentary. Steve and Dawn caught them on their video. There's an experiment where Steve sets up motion cameras in the hallway and strobe lights, and when we're reviewing the footage, you see these shadow figures are darting left and right. Yeah, you're showing them right there. Good deal. And that's the hallway. That's the landing area. And he got like 20 of these. And some of these frames, the shadow takes over the whole frame. Some of these right here,
You can see it coming to the right.
pitch black. Some of them's going to go 3/4 black. And you're going to see these hairy things on the side, like this one right here. And this is movement. This is something moving across the frame.
Oh, wow.
Or the
Yeah,
lens
you see it.
of the camera. And yeah, these and that's just
it blocks it.
Yeah, right here. See this one right here? That's something moving across the camera of Steve and Dawn's equipment. That's a good one right there. And this is what I see. This is what I just described to you, going by my office door, hovering in the corners of the hallway. This may be related to the heartbeats that we felt in the mattress or the bed mattress indentations. Right here, if you freeze that one right there. If you can pause that, I want your listeners to see that. Now you can see that
almost like
and
hair.
Tell that is a fur or hairy whatever.
You had no pets.
Okay. No pet, no cat. And you see that right there. You can sort of, take your mouse and scroll over the ridges there. And what does that look like to any sane human being? What does that look like? And I've seen that 2 years before this video was even done by the investigators. The previous tenant saw this back in 2008. And that just, I don't. What do you think? I mean,
to me, it looks like I'm thinking hellhounds.
That just blows my mind.
It's got hair. Wow, it's definitely hair. It's what I see. It's pure out hair.
Yeah,
that's creepier.
And it's close to the camera of Steve and Dawn's motion detection, and the only reason why the camera is taking that picture in the first place is because it's detecting motion. So therefore, the camera's doing what it's supposed to do, and it's snapping that photo. And as you saw when you played the other ones, there's multiple movements. It's not like it's static. It's actually moving. And they got voices along with that. I mean, that was one of the best pieces of evidence that Stephen and Dawn got.
It's incredible.
On their second trip. And they got it from the hallway. That's the hallway landing area where
you were experiencing
most of the crazy stuff happen.
Well, we're going to do we're at the last of the hour. I'm going to go to commercial break. Remember, people watching on Facebook, we have music on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Go to the new website, donate, subscribe, do what you can to help keep this great network going. We got so many new hosts. You just heard Heidi Hylas call in, Lori Lee call in, new hosts, great shows, but we need you to help keep this radio network going. So we need your donations. We need a subscription. We need your help. You got great content on this network. Don't blow it on all those other radio networks. This is the one for you right here. Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Come there. When we come back with our guest, Keith Linder, we're going to talk about what was watching him. For people that are listening to know what I'm playing. But what was watching him? What could it have actually been? There's a lot of things. All the above. I don't know. But we're going to delve deeper into that. And, Steve Mayer and us were talking about magnetic anomalies and doorways to other dimensions. Maybe, Keith, there's a doorway in your home. We'll come back. We'll talk about it. All right. Back in just a few minutes. Tonight, our guest is Keith Linder. He lived in the Bothell Hell House for 4 years, I think it was. You lived in that house, Keith?
4 years. Exactly, actually.
4 years. This man lived in this house, documented he did stuff that paranormal investigators. I've always said if I wanted to really have free time to be an investigator, I would take a house that had this kind of activity and just spend weeks on it and months if I could. I can't. I don't have the means to do that. But some investigators did, and boy, did they get some evidence. Like that picture, I swear, with the hair you see going in front of the camera. I'm one of those people that I'm fascinated by the idea of hellhounds and dimensional creatures, walk-ins, all these kind of things, and this kind of stuff that they talk about at places like Skinwalker Ranch, but it's happening in a little 2-story apartment. Let's get back to our guests and discuss. So what did you find out about, because I'm interested to know, what is the history of the land, the house? What did you find out about it?
Well, we found some interesting things when we went and started looking up the records for Bothell and that neighborhood and that address specifically. One of the things we found out was there was a cabin. There used to be a cabin almost exactly where the house is today. This was back in, I think the cabin was built back in the 1940s, was demolished around 1975-ish. And the land laid barren until they start redeveloping back in the late 90s. So it was a cabin there. Also, what we found out about, and this is sort of a correction, if you will, of what the Demons in Seattle episode said of they could not find any records of Native Americans living in and around Bothell. That's totally false. Anybody can just go to Google and type in Bothell, Washington, and look up the word Willow people or the Snohomish tribe. Both tribes were thoroughly in Bothell during the mid-1800s. There's a creek house. Bothell at that period of time back in the 1800s was heavily populated with Native Americans. Certain parts of it still is today. Some of the EVPs that Don and Steve Capture came up with the term longhouse. The word longhouse is a Native American term. Don got that underneath the house when he went and did an EVP session underneath the house in the crawl space. Just a lot of weird, well, I'm going to say weird, but interesting things about the way the cabin was a 3-sectional, 4-sectional cabin. And then now my house came some odd years later, 50 odd years later. But records at that time, they didn't really keep county records, or they didn't start keeping county records until 1975 and 1977. So there's nothing beyond that we can find in black and white that to say, aha, there goes something. But no, it was just very interesting finding that the cabin, out of all the 90 plus houses in the neighborhood, my house is the only one that had a cabin.
It was kind of isolated where this cabin was, right? It was isolated from everywhere else.
Yeah, that whole area was isolated. It was just one cabin and maybe 40 odd acres around it. But when I went to the county records office, that cabin was where my house now sits.
Do you want to remind the audience, we are still taking phone calls. You can call in at 219-230-4444. You can also call in at Skype ID oojblandoo or Souplivechat 800 live chat for the video Skype ID. And there's one more Skype ID, jbland paranormal soup. You can call in on that, and if you got any questions or you want to relate, like as Laura Lee, her first phone call into this show is because she related to this story because she's living. Are you call in if you are living in a house, you're having activity, even if it's half this bad, it would be bad. Call in, let us know. Keith would like to hear it. Every time you hear these stories from other people, it has to make you feel a little bit better. That you weren't alone.
Yeah, it makes you feel, number one, you're not alone. I give advice when I can, when I'm asked. I learn from other people's advice. I could tell anybody going through something remotely similar. It helps to document. One of the things that Nikki and Carissa and Steve and Dawn and others found credible in my case was my level of documentation. You're talking about 4 years worth or 2 years worth at the time they met me. And they were just like, wow, this guy's on his P's and Q's. He's got it down to the minute and the time. And he's been doing that continuously for 2 years nonstop. So that adds a lot to your credibility because nobody's going to fake this for that long, let alone
No.
write it down and keep good records of it. And so, yeah, if you can do that, other than besides the fact of getting out, yeah, there's no downside to documenting. Researchers and investigators love that. It's good to have something tangible because it helps. It helps to discern, and it's going to make sense to somebody. Some of the documentation that I did made zero sense to me, but sang like a canary to Nikki and Steve and Don. Yeah.
We do have another phone call on the line. Do you want to take care? Just got to make sure I get their audio on here. Here we go. All right. Who do we have on the phone line? Oh, okay.
Hello?
Hello. Who do we got on the line?
Chandra.
Hey, Chandra. Thanks for calling in.
Oh, hey. I just have a question for Keith. Since he moved from that house, has he had the same type of activity?
No, knock on wood. I've been in my new location for 2 years. No activity to speak of. There is a caveat to that. The only thing I guess I would point to that is a spillover from the old house is the poking and prodding while sleeping.
Really?
That's still continuously going on. The bed indentations, meaning like an invisible cat leaping in the bed with you. But that's it. I mean, that's enough right there. But none of the objects, none of the fire, none of the physical stuff. And that was always a big worry and almost a intimidating factor of not wanting to move, because keep in mind, I would have attacks when I would go out of town on business while living in the Bothell home. I would be in hotel rooms on business, and I've had bed sheets yanked off me while sleeping, or a pillow yanked from under my head while sleeping 400, 2,000, 3,000 miles from the Bothell home. And that happened a lot while living in the Bothell home, but nothing has happened like that since moving from the Bothell home, except the poking and the prodding. And that's unnerving too, because I mean, it's constant jabbing, tug of war, grabbing at your shin, at your ankles, and I don't know what that's about.
You think it was maybe like there was multiple entities there, possibly, maybe one tagged along with you?
Right.
Definitely multiple entities. Based on the EVPs, multiple teams have captured, and then just a lot of the activity. But definitely, it was always a threat of attachment. Like I said, I was having phenomena while traveling on business, so it was almost guaranteed. I had hoped that I wouldn't, but I'm grateful for the phenomena, meaning the physical stuff. But I sort of believe they need two people versus one to do that. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not looking a gift horse in the mouth, but I'm just trying to ascertain the poking and
definitely not provoked, that's for sure.
yeah, definitely.
Anything else, Chandra, or is that
I
your
was
question?
Just wondering about that. Well, yeah, the reason why I asked is because, you know the story that I told you about what happened to me when I was as a teenager, and just about every house that I've lived in, minus one, I've had some sort of activity, and I've always wondered if it didn't always stem from that first experience that I had. Like, does that just open a doorway, and so you're just more prone to this type of stuff happening, or is it really the same thing, but maybe it's not as strong once you take away its power because you moved away from the original source? Or, I mean, how does it just makes you think,
Oh, yeah. We call it ghost contamination.
Yeah, think of it like, I think it's like a fallout. And if you go into a radioactive building, they got those little meters that read the radioactive decay on you, and they go beep, 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 beep. But I think if you leave that location, you probably still have some of that signature on you that may be visible to other spirits who see, oh, I know that guy. Oh, or you may have some remnant of it, or over time it finally wears off. I don't know. I think it's a lot of different reasons, because I've not seen anything physically, but the bad thing that hasn't changed, and it hasn't even showed signs of tapering off. So I don't know what's that about.
That's interesting. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Keith and Jason. You answered my questions. Thank you.
Well, thank you for calling in, Shonda.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
But it makes you, another thing is you have that kind of activity happen in your home, and you said it went, and somebody who challenged it in your home it then went home and had all that crazy stuff happen. Your first thought had to been like, oh, great, I can't leave. This could follow me anywhere.
That's what my fear was moving, and probably played major role in my decision to stay, in addition to what I told you earlier, because if I leave and this stuff is even half of what it is in my new place, then I really got problems. Because leaving ground zero does not lessen or make it go away. So I was, from a psychological, I was telling myself I'd rather deal with it here for as long as I can, because at least while I'm here in these four walls, I can sort of shrug off to say, hey, it was here when we got here. But the moment I move out of this house and get to a new house and come home and got 666 on my wall, what do I do then?
Right.
Then then we're all like, oh, okay. We put the house aside. Now you're the common denominator, Keith. And I didn't want to answer that question right away until finally it just came time to finally leave and just see what answer I would get. But I don't know if you remember, I'm dating myself. There was an old movie back in the 70s called The Bubble Boy, starring John Travolta. And I think it was a deal where if he walked out the bubble, he would die. Remember that? He was like, oh, you got to stay in this bubble for the rest of your life. And finally one day he was just like, I think all his friends and family were asleep or whatever. He was like in the bubble. He's like, you know what? I'm just going to step out of this bubble. And if I die, I'll never know it anyway. And he stepped out of the bubble and he didn't die. So it was just one of those you don't know until you finally do it. And then when I finally moved, there was a little bit of apprehension in the new place. There was a little bit, especially when I came home the first day from work. The last 4 years I've been coming home, there's always been something waiting on me. When I walked into my new place and coming home from work, you put that key in the door, you're like, okay, is my kitchen table going to be upside down?
There's going to be 666 on the wall?
Yeah, it's going to be upside down, man. Or they're going to be like, Keith, we're here. So all those things running in your mind during that time frame.
But you do get poked still, you said, in the middle of the night. Can I get poked?
Yeah, the poke thing, that's weird and interesting, because that started happening right after I hurt my knee. The first time I got poked in pride was within weeks of being bedridden, and the heartbeats came soon after. The pulsating of the mattress came soon after. Your listeners, there is video and audio on the YouTube channel of the heartbeats. When Nikki and Steve and Dawn came and Nikki felt the heartbeat with her hand, Steve and Dawn put devices on the bed. They got thrown off the mattress when they quartered off the room, and they found them on the floor, and they gave off a high EMF reading. Something in my brain went off to say, let me get a digital stethoscope. So I went out and bought digital stethoscopes to where I can record the heartbeats, and that's what I did. And I recorded the heartbeats on coming from my mattress, and they're on my YouTube channel. And the interesting about these heartbeats, Jason, if you listen to them, they're heartbeats. Now, the thing about these heartbeats is they go maybe 112 to 116 beats per minute, I think is what I timed it at, when I clocked the heartbeat. If you go and look up multiple animals' heartbeats per minute, you can generally tell the size of an animal by how many beats it beats per minute. Humans were the same way. We do between 60 to 70, 80, 100 heartbeats per minute. The beats that I'm getting fit the size of maybe a small dog to large cat to a rabbit or raccoon size animal. That's the size of an animal whose heart beats that fast, meaning 110, 112 beats per minute. You just take the beats per minute, throw it on the chart. It tells you um, that size matches the shadows you just saw.
I might
It
have the
matches
audio lined up here. Let me see.
to my own of the heartbeats.
Yeah.
My experience was or had been reported previously, which makes this case more. Paranormal team Nikki Novell
I thought I had
relates to me and my.
Trying to get.
Convey that to some.
Thought I might be able to line it up, but I couldn't. Darn it.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like a 36-minute video. I thought I had it on there for the heartbeats. But that's crazy that you're getting a heartbeat through your mattress. You're able to record it with a digital stethoscope, and it matches an animal.
Yeah, I mean the digital stethoscope is going. It's got a memory stick in it, so it's going to, and it's got Bluetooth in it. I can stream it. I can do it in real time, and I save it. And then you just count the beats per minute. Or you put it through something that does it for you, and then you're able to, I mean, go and research online what animals beat this fast, heartbeat this fast, and it gives you a ballpark figure of the size. You know, German Shepherd, Chihuahua, wild animal, whatever. And then the small, petite rodent animals, their hearts beat that fast. They beat 100 plus beats per minute because they're small. You know,
right?
I think a blue whale heart beats one time per minute. The bigger the animal, the slower the heartbeat. But yeah, then I was like, well, that fits the pattern of the shadow figures that Steve and Dawn caught in the hallway. That fits the patterns of what I've seen with my naked eye, walking by to and fro, and the bed indentions in the bed. Yeah, it fits all of that, because if an animal is small enough to jump in my bed and make those indentions as it makes its way toward me, it's going to be about the size of that type of animal, and therefore its heartbeat's going to beat that. I mean, 100, 112 beats per minute. But yeah, it's for anybody on YouTube. They can download themselves and run it through whatever vetting process they want to. I'd be eager to see what they come up with. But I share that and put it out there, and so far it's been up there 2 years, and nobody's been able to say, that's because it's a heartbeat. And
Yeah.
you know, as soon as you hear it, it's not human. You know, we all know what a human heartbeat sounds like. It's not mine. And most of the heartbeats that I've captured, I make it a point for me not to even be in the bed. I set my devices up and leave the room, and I can monitor them from my computer because it's digital, it's Bluetooth, it's coming through Audio Galaxy. I record it, save it, and goes back to the pulsating mattress and whatnot that Nikki felt with her hand, and other people felt with their hands.
It makes you wonder. I mean, you had the possible child ghost. Now you know the animal ghost in the home. You know, it makes you wonder. Did a doorway? You know, was that the whole location? Is it just an open doorway for any spirits from anywhere? You know, and nothing even to do with the land to come through. You know. Did you ever find out if there was a previous pet that died in that location? You makes you wonder.
Makes you wonder. Yeah, Steve and Dawn detected using a flare device, on their first trip in one of the guest bedrooms next to my bedroom. There was a spot on the wall about the size of a beach ball that was cold to the touch, and you can't see it with the naked eye. And they went all the rooms pitch black with a flare gun and saw this anomaly, recorded it, went back to the same spot several times that night, went back to the same spot the next day and the day after to see if it would reproduce itself. It never did. But it was very interesting, that little anomaly on the wall, because it dissipated within a few hours and it never returned. And that's the same wall that the armoire got thrown from.
Like maybe it's an entrance, a vortex. You know, they talk about that.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
You know, they talk about the people finding these kind of cold spots. I'm wondering if they're like kind of a vortex from the other side or a doorway.
It was definitely cold. We tested, and I mean, it was cold. It was in just that localized area, just that localized area. It's not a heat source. It's not a vent. We don't have ACs in the Pacific Northwest, so it's not something drilling cold air onto that just one
Right.
spot. But it was weird. Yeah, they documented that one as unknown in their report, Stephen.
Well, it's interesting that you said that's a spot where the armoire kept on getting thrown. Maybe the armoire was getting thrown because it was blocking the doorway. You know, I'm not trying to joke. I really think it's something like that.
Probably. I mean, you think about if everything we did and some things we did, we knew we were impeding the spirits. Some things we didn't know. Yeah, I mean, boom. Yeah.
Well, guys, we're on the last half hour of the show. It goes a 3-hour show. I've been doing 2 hours for 3 years, and we're doing 3-hour shows. But man, I still say the 3-hour show goes by fast. That's why I play this song at the last commercial break, because it goes by so fast, and I have so much fun. But when we come back, you can still take phone calls into the show. When we come back, you can call in if you got a question or your own paranormal experience you want to share with us, and we'll get to the last of what's been going on here with Keith for the final moment when he just said, "Okay, I'm going to move out." Because at some point when all this stuff happens, somebody's going to say, "That's it. I'm done. Whatever. I'm out of here." You know, and he stuck in longer than most people would. All right, guys. We'll be back with you in just a few minutes. Tonight, our guest is Keith Linder. We're talking about his experiences 4 years in the Bothell Hell House. The experiences were dynamic, crazy, writing on the wall experiences. The writing would have been on the wall for many people when they saw 666 on the wall. They would have been out. But Keith documented. That's what's so great about this case, is all the documentation. Like I said, you can check it out at his YouTube channel. Just type in Keith Linder. You'll find it. That's Liinder. You'll find it under that. Definitely check out. You want good paranormal evidence? There's a lot of it there. We showed some of it tonight, but there's so much more. And check out his new book, Bothell Hell House by Keith Linder. Let's get to Keith right now. So the time came. You decided to move. What do you think was kind of the final straw for you?
Well, it wasn't really a straw. It was the two teams really, I guess, legitimizing our case, because had me and Tina moved out immediately after the Ghost Adventures episode, number one, you and I wouldn't be having this conversation. A lot of people that I know now would not even come forward with their claims or know about this case, because that would have been all that was left of. People came there, found nothing. Oh, well. I told myself I'm going to really drill down a second time and see if I can find a qualified, bona fide team to come in that's going to live here, not just visit, but live here. And and find something, because I really want the world and the paranormal, the paranormal world, to actually say, yeah, there's something going on here, because a lot of people don't come forward with their claims, and if they saw that episode, they probably never will. But now, when Nikki and her team and Steve and Dawn came in, and it was truth being told, yeah, it felt like that was the moment for me to leave and let another family come in, knowing a lot about this house, because keep in mind, we were caught unaware. It took
you're going to let somebody else move in there.
Right. And they know moving in that the house is what it is. There's no way to not move into that house and not know. It's pretty much everywhere. And we told them. It was always my mission, even though I'm just a tenant renting it, to tell people that, hey, this is what's going on here. There's a lot of things you shouldn't do. And if the phenomena stays dormant, oh, well, that's a good thing. We should not be trying to go to the house to make it active, to keep teams going in there for eternity. But if the house is quiet and everything's okay, that's a good thing. It's a house. But I wanted to leave and start my new chapter of now I can just tell this story. There's a lot of lessons learned here, and I learn stuff new every day about the phenomena, about myself, about the people that I come in contact with. And it just felt like that would be the time to move out. Steve and Dawn finished their investigation in the mid-April, so I had less than 10 days to pack up everything and move out because I want to move out on the 4-year anniversary. And it's hard. It was hard. I'll tell your listeners now just to give them a preview of book 2. Um, there was activity showing signs of resurfacing as a result of packing up, taking things down. When you're moving furniture around, disassembling things, that will kick up dust or spirits, and they got agitated by that. They made it known, not as a sense of how dare you move out of here, but they made it known that either they're uncomfortable with all this moving around or changing of the environment, therefore they're just going to be active while you try to sleep, because that happened. The last 2 weeks in the house reminded me of 2014. We had new wall writings. Matter of fact, the substance coming out the walls in the living room, that clear fluid, that was March of April of that same year of me moving out when I was packing up and leaving.
Wow. We do have another phone call on the line. Let me pull them on here. Who do we got on the line? Oh, I know.
It's Zach, brother. How you doing?
Hey, Zach. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, brother. How about yourself?
Doing good. I know you always got good questions, so go ahead and shoot away.
Well, usually I do have a question, but I wanted to know if I can be able to share just a brief summary of my own shadow person experiences that I've been having recently.
For sure.
If you're willing to give me any kind of input on how to be able to resolve this, anything would be greatly appreciated. I'm just going to keep it just to recent events that have been happening, because there's been a whole lot that have been going on in the past year. It's all been happening in my apartment. Wow. And really, my fiance's now been seeing it too, because a couple weeks ago, she was spending the night over at my place, and we went to bed. And she described to me that at the foot of the bed, where we were at, she claimed that she saw what looked like a big black blob, and right on the wall, right between my bathroom and my closet, she said that she saw a shadow of a large spider that was on the wall that had broken up into tiny little spiders after that. Then a couple days after that, I was sleeping, and I have a habit of actually placing a pillow right over my eyes as I sleep. I don't know why. It's just something that I do. I've been doing it for a long time now. And I felt like somebody grabbed the pillow there and actually pull it right off of my face while I was sleeping. And me, I was just not in the mood to have it that night, so I just pulled it back over my face, and nothing happened after that. But I hear voices in my apartment. I hear a lady calling my name.
Wow, Zach.
I remember once I shared this once on the chat board on the previous show. I was in my bathtub one time. I was taking a bath, and I looked over at the mirror of my medicine cabinet, and I saw this black mass just duck over underneath the mirror there. It was nuts. Yep. And then the most recent one happened a couple of days ago. I was smoking a cigar on my balcony, and I took a look in my living room there, and I saw this shadow just move all the way from the kitchen all the way over to my window. So it's been happening a lot, and it's any kind of advice that you can give, Keith, based on your past experiences. Anything is greatly appreciated, brother.
I feel your pain. I have no advice because I'm going through something similar, like I was talking about earlier about the bed stuff. I know about the black mass. I know about the darting across the room or darting across the corner of your eye. You brought it. It's a good segue because 2 weeks ago, oh man, I had a date over and we were just watching what's that movie? Avengers, Age of Ultron or whatever. Yeah. And we're watching the movie, me and her, and I see these shadows before, and the shadow just darts across the living room floor and goes under her leg. And she knows about the Bothell House. She knows about some of my paranormal stories, and she's read the Bothell Hill House book. But I saw the shadow go underneath her leg, and I prayed to God that she didn't see it. I'm like, please don't. I hope you didn't see that. But she did. And long story short, she freaked out.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, it took her way aback because you never. I mean, you believe it, but you really believe when it happens to you. And she saw it plain as day. I wish she hadn't seen it. I was going to try to disavow it. I was going to be quiet if she never mentioned it, but she did, and her eyes were just so dilated, and she was. I mean, she was wild. But yeah, I have no advice because I'm still trying to figure out the shadow thing myself. I can't make heads or tails out of it. It's just weird, but I don't know what it means.
Yeah, no, actually, I mean, well, it happened in two different apartments that I have. I just moved within the same complex. I went from a bigger apartment to a smaller apartment. But I mean, the activity pretty much just, it happened no matter where it was at. So,
are you seeing
I'm
like
gonna be moving out.
Are you seeing full-fledged like shadow figures in your home, like a standing figure? Or just
I personally haven't seen. I mean, in the previous apartment that I did have, I did see something because I remember in the other room where my former roommate, where her room was at, there were some voices that I heard coming from there one time, and I thought somebody had broken into my apartment. So I go in there and I open up the door and I see this large shadow. Just like I said, it goes from one end of the room and it went into the closet right there. That's probably the closest thing that I can think of.
It's more of a mass,
besides the
right?
Yeah, besides seeing the shadow in the medicine cabinet that I described to you earlier. But I mean, it's like in my previous apartment, I remember even one time waking up and I felt like it was being pinned down and I heard growling right in my ear, and I finally told it. I told it get off, and finally I felt like something just elevated off of me.
You always surprise me, Zach, when you call in with your questions and something you have to add story wise. When you talked about the spider, like you said it was your friend that saw this, or was it your fiance saw the spiders like go like one spider go into a bunch or something like that?
Well, it was the larger spider that was on the wall. It was a shadow of a larger spider, and she said that it broke up into smaller little spiders.
See, I saw something like that when I was a little kid. That's very similar to that. It kind of gave me a little bit of goosebumps. I was a little kid at one of my mom's friends' apartments. They put me in a room to sleep.
Whenever
I saw something like that.
Whenever you have more time, I ought to tell you the stories about what happened in my childhood home back in central Pennsylvania. Well, some really scary stuff.
Well, it makes you wonder, Zach. You said you've been, it's the same apartment complex, but it's followed you different spots. But you wonder if these things find certain people that are like, I like their energy, I can do stuff with that, and if they follow people because of that energy, they're going to react to certain people. Yeah.
I don't know if it's parasitic or it's something.
That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, it's
parasitic.
It's very interesting because I get that all the time.
Well, thank you, Zach, for calling in.
Hey, brother. Thank you so much for allowing me to call in. Keith, thank you so much for your input, man. I love hearing your story. Can't wait to hear more of what you have to say, brother.
Oh, thank you. Take it easy. Thanks for calling.
Now, I remember last time we had you on. Thank you, Zach. You have a great night, bud. I remember the last time we had you on, too, you talked about, the landlord involved in this. You don't own the place. You're renting it. What was, what did the landlord say about all this?
Oh, man, here's the funny thing. When we moved in, remember at the beginning of your show, I said we moved in May 1st. The landlord gave us the keys and left. When I moved out of the house, it was May 7th, 2016. Those are the only 2 times he's ever been to the house.
So he knows?
Was the move-in day and getting the keys back from me. Now, we've talked because he's the owner. He has to approve any researcher that come in. He never objected to ghost adventures coming in, to Nikki, Carissa, whoever. And he was very receptive, almost too receptive or too nonchalant for me to be comfortable with when I told him,
like he knows something.
hey, you just had a fire in your office,
right?
wall writings, holes in the wall. Keep in mind, this house has been on several local Seattle news, several local Seattle newspapers. It's been on international Ghost Adventures TV, and it's a house that's been by some people call the house from hell, but it's his house. He never gave me and Tina any grief as to what are you doing to my house. I need to come in and inspect things myself.
Yeah.
He was very distant, even for maintenance, or there was something going wrong as far as electrical, dishwasher, refrigerator. He would just send a repairman to handle it. He would not come. Pipes bust, he would send somebody. And then the fact that he never lived in the home. The house was built in 2005. I think he put it immediately on the market in 2006 or 2007.
Immediately on the market might be a clue.
Something as to why he never chose to live in it. Maybe there was something weird that they saw when they first moved in and said, we're not going to live here. I'm taking my family. We're going elsewhere. The economy in 2005, 2008 was just so horrible. You couldn't sell a house if your life depended on it.
Right.
So the best thing you can do is rent it and just bide your time. And here come me and Tina some 6, 8, 9 years later, totally unaware. Now it's gotten teams who've certified it haunted or whatever. They think they can sort of acquiesce the activity. The market's improved. He sold the house in less than 2 months of me moving out. The advice given from the UK guys was leave it stagnant or leave it vacant for 6 months and let's see if we can get that energy to dissipate before another family comes in. But he sold it within 2 months. But no, it was just weird and interesting, out of a lot of weird, interesting things of a homeowner who probably had good reason to be distant and reluctant the way he was.
Well, you think he
wasn't sharing that information.
I feel like he had to known something because, I mean, you tell him, hey, spontaneous fires are happening here. We have damage. You know, as an owner, you want to go in there and be like, is this electrical? What's going on? I don't want my place burning down. Maybe that's what he wanted. Insurance money. Go ahead, Ghost.
It's a new home. If I'm a homeowner, you say, oh, I had a fire. I would like to think, unless I know the devil was causing it, that I would want to come there and see for myself. Maybe you're a meth head. Maybe you're cooking. I don't know.
Right.
But I would just want to see if you're on the up and up, because I can generally tell if I go see it myself. All right, show me where your wall caught fire.
Or you guys are on drugs or something. You guys are saying all this stuff. He's got to wonder.
He never did.
That's crazy.
He never, and I sent him all these pictures you see on you. I sent him the worst stuff. I was like, this guy's gonna sue me and Tina. He's gonna be livid. I mean, we didn't authorize the fire department to come there. We didn't authorize this and that. And he was just, oh yeah, so sorry. And even in the email exchange is in my book when I told him that the house being active and how I want to get teams in there. He even said it in his response to me. I wrote a 3 or 5 page email. His response to me was a less than 3 lines of, you have my approval, let them do what they need to do. And there probably are some spirits in the house that are just being mean or whatever. And that was his response. So he even used the word spirits in his reply back to me.
He knew
there might be some spirits in there that don't want to get along. But yeah, you have my permission to get a team in there. And that, to me, that short email told me everything I need to know about the homeowner. Yeah, I believe he knew.
He knew something, and we wonder what history he might know. He might know some history that nobody knows about that place.
Knew something. And keep in mind, him and his wife, they have children. They're from India. Different cultures respond to paranormal very differently. I've talked to friends. I got multi-racial friends, so different races and cultures respond differently. Some new homes do have activity. If the land has been recently broken up, you got a new establishment, he may have saw something subtle and like, no, we're not staying here. Or something might have happened to where, no, I'm taking my family and we're gone. But he knew something. He knew enough to keep him and his family out.
Before we run out of time here, what about the people that live there now? Have you heard anything?
I have not heard anything. from them. I know it's a husband and wife, no children. I do know through one of the neighbors who lives a few houses down that they did replace the door with a blue door. This is another family from India, and within 2 months of living in the home, around August, September of 2016, it's a blue door. When I looked up what a blue door symbolizes, a lot of cultures, India included, a blue door is to keep evil spirits out. It's to keep your home. It's to set a barrier for spirits, malevolent mainly, to keep them at bay out of your home. People always ask me why haven't I gone and talked to them, and my answer is very simple. It's not for me to go poking around and put the idea in people's head that Satan lives in that house, because like I said, what you said earlier, just the notion of something like that might be all these spirits need. If it's quiet now, we should look at that as a good thing. If I go poking around and say, "Hey, has your couch floated yet?" I mean, who wants to do that and make them be so self-conscious? So yeah, and then if they need me, I'm easy to find. So are the paranormal teams that research the home. We're all easy to find.
We do have to end the show. We're at the last 5-minute mark, and we have to end the show. But one last thing, did you give out to where people can find your book and also the documentary by Steve Mera?
Yeah, so the Bothell Hell House is on Amazon, paperback and Kindle version. You can also find Don Phillips made a documentary. That's on AmericanSupernatural.com. It's about an hour and a half documentary. It talks about their 2 trips to Seattle, to Bothell, January and April of 2016. Definitely people should check that out because it shows you a scientific investigation. The book itself has got 4 years of activity. It talks about move-in date and up until the very end, and lots of evidence. A lot of the YouTube videos are inserted in the book when they happen during the timeline. So people should check out the book.
I need to check out
all
this book.
And the reports. The reports are in there. Nikki has a few good chapters in the book with their investigative means, because like I said, they monitored the house about 7 months before they even showed up on site. And all that evidence is in there. And there's enough for everybody. Whatever your fascination about the paranormal is, EVP, EMF, apparition, growl, shadow person, shadow creature, it's in the book.
It's a paranormal soup in its own. Well, thank you so much, Keith, for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, and if the story's not over with for you, if you're getting more poked and prodded in the night, I'll have you back on. We'll talk more. I hope for your sake it is. Thank you again, Keith. You have a great night. Go check out the Bothell Hell House on Amazon and Kindle. You can find it there. Go check out Keith Linder on YouTube. Go check out Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network on latenightinthemidlandsradionetwork.com. Go donate, subscribe. So many great hosts coming to this network. This is the best radio network around, guys. We need your help to keep it going. We need your subscriptions and donations. Please go to Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Donate, subscribe. Watch Paranormal Soup at Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern, or sometimes 2 a.m. Eastern, like tonight. Thanks again, guys. Next week, we'll have Varla Ventura on. We had her on a year ago on our 100th episode. She is an excellent author. We're going to talk about the Paranormal Parlor, her new book. All right, guys. See you next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Have a great night.
Thank you for listening to Paranormal Soup right here on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Be sure to catch us here each week, Sunday night, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Pacific.